Are you used to picking up hitchhikers on your long commute to work? You might want to hear about the hitchhiker road scam. This trick preys on unsuspecting drivers. The scam typically starts with a person posing as a hitchhiker who flags down a car on the side of the road. They may claim to be stranded or in need of a ride to a nearby town or city. In some cases, the hitchhiker may ask the driver to pull over at a specific location, such as a gas station or convenience store, where they will then disappear with the driver's money or other valuables. This scam can also be done in groups, where a bunch of people will flag down a car and ask for a ride, and once the car is on the move, they will threaten the driver and steal money, valuables, or even the car itself. It's important to be aware of this scam and to always be cautious when picking up hitchhikers. It's best to avoid giving money or other valuables to anyone who claims to need a ride, and to never pull over at a location that is not safe or familiar. Hitchhikers are not the only reason why you might get into trouble on the road. A slice of cheese isn't something you'd expect to find on your parked car, am I right? Well, it might indicate something quite dangerous. One woman told the story of such an experience online, thinking it was just a prank made by some neighborhood youngster. She decided to call a friend and ask for help with cleaning the car up. But once the two ladies started rubbing off the melted cheese from her windshield, they saw something strange nearby. She remembered seeing a white van arriving. In it were a bunch of men, suspiciously staring at them. She wasn't alone, so she decided it was safe enough to finish cleaning up the car, even though they didn't feel comfortable being stared at. It took them almost an hour to scrape off the cheese that had melted under the heat. She did wonder, though, if this wasn't a tactic to rob a person. That's because most people would be so focused on cleaning up the mess on their car, they'd be distracted from keeping an eye on the thing they left in the car, like bags, wallets, or even recent shopping items. Or worse, what if it was a kidnapping strategy? That sticky cheese would keep a person really concentrated on fixing the car, so they wouldn't be able to see suspicious people coming at them in due course. The key takeaway from this story: if you ever see a piece of cheese on your car, might as well leave it as it is, as long as it's not blocking your view and it doesn't really affect your driving. Your safest bet is to just clean it at home, or take it to the nearest car wash. They'll know the best way to clean up the vehicle without ruining the paint. Sure, the piece of cheese on a car scam might just be a coincidence, but some scams out there are more legitimate, with this next one being quite the unusual method when it comes to snatching away other people's cars. If you notice a t-shirt or a hoodie on your windshield, or even wrapped between your wiper blades, don't be so quick to take it away. Again, it can be placed there on purpose to distract you while your car gets taken away. Drive away as quickly as possible if you can, and get to a safe location that's well lit and filled with many people. There you can remove whatever object you have on the car without any risks. Some people have even found money under their wiper blades. It's easy to imagine that those who left it there probably had the same intention in mind. There are methods to help when it comes to decreasing your odds of getting your car snatched away. Keep your tires turned to the curb whenever you park it. If your car wheels are in that position, thieves are less likely to be able to move around with the vehicle. They'll see that your car requires more time and energy to be moved, so it'll become less of a target. Sadly, scams on the road are quite common, and one of the most widespread types is the infamous tow truck scam. This scam involves leaving oil, metal nails, or glass shards on the road and waiting for drivers to fall into the trap. If your car gets damaged in such a situation, the scammers will suddenly appear out of nowhere and offer to provide towing service at extremely high prices. They'll try to pressure you into using their services because most of the time, they place these traps in strategic locations. They make sure people get stranded where there's low visibility and no gas station in sight where you can assess the damage done to your car. In a situation where you have no other option but to give consent for them to tow your car, they'll also take advantage of the situation and take it to workshops unapproved by your insurance company. This means you'll have to pay even more money to get your car back. If you've been a driver for long enough, you know that the driver who rear-ends another vehicle is always at fault. That's because you should always keep a comfortable distance from the car in front of you, so you can safely stop the car in case of an emergency. Some scammers will take advantage of this by repeatedly braking suddenly, causing you to hit them. This dangerous tactic is used to get money for supposed damages, and even for make-believe medical expenses. To avoid falling victim to this scam, you should reduce your speed and keep a safe distance, especially from suspicious vehicles or chaotic drivers. If a scammer continues to bother you in traffic, the best course of action is to drive to the nearest police station and report them. Picture this. You're driving on the road, and suddenly a motorcyclist gets your attention and points out that your wheels are smoking. You quickly pull over to the side of the road. The motorcyclist then offers to help by calling a mechanic to check your wheels. Surprisingly, the mechanic gets there really fast, but proceeds to disable your braking system while inspecting the cause of the smoke. He then asks you to test your brakes, which of course won't be working since he's already disabled them. Pretending to be helpful, he offers to fix your brakes for you, but will charge an enormous price for it. Moral of the story, stick to your trusted mechanic or towing company. You never know who you'll find on the road. Some scams aren't even that. They're just urban legends. Many people claim to have seen the wrong way man on the roads. One version of this story mentions a man stuck driving down one-way streets in the opposite direction, causing chaos and confusion as other drivers try to avoid him. The man is said to be crazed and dangerous, with a wild look in his eyes and a penchant for reckless driving. Other stories say he's not even driving, but that once you've seen this mysterious person on the side of the road while driving home, you should turn around to keep from going back to your house for at least a week. That is, if you don't want anything bad to happen. There are countless stories of near misses and close calls with this mysterious figure. Some even say that they've been hit by the man and that they suffered serious injuries as a result. Despite the many sightings and stories, there's no concrete evidence to suggest that the wrong way man actually exists. Many experts believe that the legend is simply a cautionary tale, meant to remind people to be aware of their surroundings and to drive safely. However, the legend persists and continues to be passed down through generations, making it one of the most enduring urban myths of all time.
Endless hot deserts seem lifeless at first glance. But among these sands, you can meet dangerous and sometimes creepy creatures. Some of them can only cause health problems, but some can stay in your memory forever. Let's get to know them, starting with dangerous ones and finishing with real nightmares. So, you're walking through a desert and see a big teddy bear with open hands. You understand that it's probably a mirage, but still, you come closer. You were right. It's not a plush toy, but a giant cactus. There's something strange about it. Thanks to some strange fluff, the branches resemble the arms of a teddy bear. However, this is not fluff, but thousands of thin needles, and they are the reason you shouldn't come closer. The cactus is called the jumping cholla, or teddy bear cholla. It grows in the desert areas of Arizona and in the northern part of Mexico. Don't worry, this cactus won't attack you, but it will cling to your skin or clothes if you touch it. Such a fur coat protects the cactus from animals, creates shade, and saves it from heat. The lateral branches are the most important parts of the plant as they carry out photosynthesis and accumulate a large amount of moisture inside. So, despite all the danger, the cactus can be helpful for desert wanderers. And the danger here is needles. If you look closer at them, you will see they have the shape of hooks. One touch, and hundreds of thorns are already in your finger. It's pretty difficult to get rid of them, and the needles cause unpleasant, painful sensations. But the coolest thing about this cactus is the way it reproduces. The plant clones itself in a new place. When animals and people pass the jumping cholla and touch it, the cactus gives them a small piece of itself, along with the needles. As soon as you throw this piece to the ground, it takes root and starts growing. The degree of danger is rising. The next monster from the desert is running toward us, and that is an ostrich. Many think these animals are cowards hiding their heads in the sand. You will most likely change your mind if you're unlucky enough to meet one. Usually, ostriches are not aggressive, but you should run if you come closer to their nest. On the other hand, you won't be able to do that because ostriches move at a speed of 43 miles per hour. You need a car to get away from them. They run and hit their enemy with their chests. There have been cases when ostriches attacked vans and caused significant damage to them. But the main danger these birds present is their powerful legs with sharp claws. They can deliver strong blows with them and even beat a prone opponent. So yes, if you see an ostrich in the distance, go the other way. This small spotted lizard lives underground almost all the time in the arid deserts of the southwestern US and northwestern Mexico. Sometimes it goes outside to find lunch. It only seems cute, but in fact, it's a dangerous Gila monster. Its thick skin protects the reptile from hawks, coyotes, and other predators. But its main protection is its venom. Snakes and spiders inject their toxins using long, needle-like fangs. The Gila monster clamps down and chews the prey to spread the venom. And when it bites a person, it can keep its jaws closed for a long time. Getting rid of the animal is a tricky feat. People who have experienced the effects of the venom say it feels as if hot magma passes through the veins. Despite this, the lizard turned out to be useful for science. Doctors used its venom to create medicines for diabetes and obesity. The time has come. Now you're about to meet one of the creepiest creatures living in the desert. Be quiet and listen to the silence. Stand still. There's no one around. Suddenly, you hear some hissing coming from below. You lower your head and see it. A big yellow spider the size of a human palm with strong jaws and long legs hides in the shadow of your body. In horror, you run away from this monster, but it goes after you. It isn't easy to do it in this situation, but try to calm down. The creature isn't interested in you. It wants only your shadow to hide from the scorching sun. Anyway, it's better not to touch it. The powerful jaws of the camel spider can cause unpleasant sensations, to put it mildly. And, by the way, this creature isn't really a spider. Yeah, it belongs to the class of arachnids, but it's a separate species, Sulpicid. It likes to bite. It's fearless and pretty aggressive. The spider preys on insects, lizards, rodents, and small birds. It can also move at a speed of 10 miles per hour. For their small size, this is very fast. You need to be a professional athlete to run away from it. Most often, you can find camel spiders in the deserts of the Middle East, but they also live in Mexico and the southwestern US. These runners are nocturnal and try to avoid the sun during the day, so they are always hunting your shadow. By the way, they got their name because they often hide in the shadows of camels. You won't hide from them during the day, but they will also want to come after you at night, especially if you make a fire. Sulpicids always run to the light in the hope of eating something. Some species of these spiders make a hissing sound to scare their enemies away. Now, let's calm down for a second and leave the hot desert. We're going into the humid tropics of Tanzania. Under tree bark, fallen leaves, and in dark caves, you can meet one of the most terrifying creatures on Earth, a tailless whip scorpion. Imagine a big scorpion without a tail, with a flat body that looks like it has been pressed by something. It's similar to spiders, but has no venom glands and can't spin a web. This monster is silent and fast, but the scariest thing is its 2 front claws, twice as long as the creature itself. Any prey it catches will never escape. Life in a dark cave has spoiled its eyesight, so the whip scorpion tries to avoid sunlight. During molting, it climbs up to the ceiling and slowly comes out of its old skin. Imagine directing your flashlight there and seeing small cocoons out of which pale spiders with excessively long legs crawl. If you really meet it, be calm and slowly go away as far as possible. Be careful. The flat scorpion can crawl under your clothes in a second and bite you in the stomach. And that's not the worst part. Okay, this is a joke. This pretty guy is one of the shyest and most harmless creatures among spiders and scorpions. It's afraid of you and will never attack. Many consider it beautiful and keep whip scorpions in glass terrariums. If you want such a pet, carefully watch it so that it doesn't run away from its house. If it happens, it will be pretty challenging to catch it again. In a matter of moments, it can get under your bed or go through gaps in the floor. Then it'll go to your neighbor's apartment through a ventilation system and scare people there. Okay, how about one more scorpion? It's not as creepy as the other creatures in this video, but it's the most venomous scorpion in the USA. This is the Arizona bark scorpion. The problem is that you can see it in the desert, in your home, or in the yard. These dangerous venomous beasts crawl into rooms and often sting people. One time is enough to cause pain, similar to a bee sting, but someone with an allergy may experience paralysis, breathing problems, and other health issues.
Hey there, car owners. Gee, do I have an important message for you? You see, our cars are like our trusty sidekicks, always by our side, even in the most public places. But sometimes we come back to find unexpected surprises waiting for us. Try to imagine yourself strolling up to your four-wheeled companion, and there it is. A flyer, taunting you from under the wiper. Or, heaven forbid, a parking ticket just begging for your attention on the windshield. We've all been there, right? Well, hold on to your steering wheels because authorities have a brand new tip for you. And it's a real gem. If you see something on your car that doesn't belong, don't remove it with your bare hand. Intrigued? You see, police forces have been keeping a watchful eye on all things car-related, and they're not just about catching speedsters and enforcing traffic rules. They've got our backs when it comes to unveiling the latest tricks of the trade. Take Arlington, Virginia, for example. The authorities there recently noticed a spike in driver's side airbag thefts. To combat this madness, the police advised folks to park in well-lit areas, lock their vehicles, stash away their valuables, and why not throw in a steering wheel locking device for good measure? Some car thieves have also discovered a new superpower, using their smartphone cameras to peek into your car. It's like they have X-ray vision or something. These sneaky people can bypass the privacy tint in your car windows and get a clear view of your treasures, all without even taking a photo. Smartphones these days, huh? In response, authorities launched a "Stow It, Don't Show It" campaign, reminding everyone to remove their valuables from sight, or, at the very least, stash them away. But wait, there's more. Officers want us to be extra cautious about a new threat lurking around our vehicles. You know how it goes. Leaves, litter, and leaflets often find their way onto our beloved cars. Usually, we'd think nothing of it and simply give our vehicles a quick clean before zooming off. However, you should think twice before reaching out with your bare hands. Even if it's just to grab a seemingly innocent piece of trash. Why all the fuss, you might wonder? Well, let's take a peek at an incident that unfolded in Houston, Texas. Picture this. One woman, fresh from celebrating her birthday at a local restaurant, heads back to her car, only to find a napkin sticking out of her car door handle. Now, at first, she didn't think much of it, and casually removed the napkin, thinking it's just some random trash. But as it turns out, things then took a crazy turn. Not long after handling that suspiciously placed napkin, she started feeling some tingling in her fingertips, and before she knew it, her whole arm joins the tingle party, leaving her feeling a bit numb. She got all lightheaded and even struggled to breathe. Being a responsible person, her husband dialed up 911 in a jiffy. Off she went to the hospital, racing against time to figure out what in the world caused this bizarre health roller coaster. After a seemingly eternal 6.5 hours, the doctors finally diagnosed her with acute poisoning from an unknown substance. They couldn't pinpoint the exact nature of the substance because the woman only had a tiny amount in her system. But even that tiny amount was enough to make her feel like she just hopped on the wildest ride at the amusement park. Just imagine if she had wrapped that napkin around her entire hand. Yikes! One of her doctors suggested that this whole napkin incident might have been an attempted kidnapping targeting her car. Wait, what? A kidnapping involving a napkin and a car door? It's like a bad script for a low-budget comedy film. But here's where things get really intriguing. The local police department, in their noble quest to solve this mystery, revealed that they didn't receive any reports of similar incidents involving car doors and napkins. I guess that prankster genius didn't strike again, or at least not yet. However, they do confirm that the woman's experience and symptoms align with other cases of poisoning. Of course, there are many other strategies to help keep both you and your car safe. Like when it comes to parking, it's all about that prime spot. Thankfully, specialists have some tips that will make your parking game strong and keep those pesky thieves at bay. First things first, if you're lucky enough to have a garage, park your precious vehicle in there at all times. But if you're out and about, it's advised that you find a well-lit and open area to park. You want your ride to be in the spotlight, not hiding in the shadows where mischief could be lurking. Now, here's a nifty little nugget of advice straight from the mouth of an ex-burglar. This guy knows the tricks of the trade. When you park, turn those wheels into the curb. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it's worth it. By doing this, you're making life harder for those pesky intruders. They'll have to do some fancy maneuvering just to get away, and ain't nobody got time for that. And hey, here's an extra bonus tip for you. Try to find a car park that has reached the Parkmark standard. These parking locations have passed a police risk assessment, so you know they're legit. With these simple tips, you'll be parking like a pro in no time. These days, there's still a sneaky way thieves can get their hands on your ride, and it involves your beloved key. So, let's play it safe, shall we? First things first, keep those keys hidden away. When you're home, make sure they're out of sight and far from prying eyes. You wouldn't want any thieves playing fishing games with sticks and hooks through your letterbox, snatching your keys. Now let's talk about keyless entry. You know, those fancy cars that unlock themselves with a wave of the key nearby? Well, if you have to push a button on your key to open your car, you don't have a keyless entry. No worries though, we'll cover that too. Picture this. You're going about your day, minding your own business, when suddenly a crafty thief comes along with a little device. This sneaky gadget tricks your car into thinking your key is right there, unlocking it faster than you can imagine. They can even start the engine and drive off into the sunset with your beloved vehicle. Believe it or not, these pesky thieves only need to be a few meters away from your car key to capture its signal. That means they can work their magic even if your key is chilling inside your home, safe and sound. Fear not, because there are a few tips to keep your keyless entry car as secure as a fortress. When you're at home, keep that precious key and its spare far, far away from your vehicle. Maybe put them in a screened pouch or a fancy schmancy Faraday bag to block any signals from escaping. Think of it as giving your key a cozy little invisible shield to protect it from those sneaky signal-sniffing thieves. Here's another pro tip. If you ever decide to adopt a second-hand car into your loving car family, give those keys a little makeover. Reprogramming them will ensure that any old signals or sneaky surprises from the previous owner are wiped clean. To make sure your car is always safe, we also need to cover this not-so-fun subject: illegal tow trucks. Those sneaky thieves think they can snatch your precious wheels right off the street. Here are some tips on how to stay one step ahead of these parking lot pirates. First things first, keep an eye out for any tow-away crew that seems a bit fishy. You know, the ones who aren't sporting any fancy logos on their truck or who forgot to put on their snazzy uniforms. If something feels off, don't hesitate to report them pronto. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if I'm wrong and it turns out to be a false alarm? We all should be about good faith, and nobody should blame you for a moment if it turns out to be a false alarm. Better safe than sorry, right?
Well, watch out in Arizona. Make sure you don't have a sleeping donkey in your bathtub anytime after 7 p.m. This is a law made in 1924, after an incident that occurred during a flood. When Merchant wasn't allowed his donkey to sleep in his bathtub. This was before they weren't attached to the floor and could easily be moved. When the town flooded on a fateful night, the sleeping donkey was carried away by the torrent. It sailed through the town and ended up in a valley 1 mile away. The donkey was stranded in the tub, floating helplessly. The town gathered and eventually saved the poor guy. But it took a lot of effort and resources during the rescue. They quickly made a new decree: there will be no more donkeys sleeping in bathtubs. So there. Now in Samoa, if a husband forgets his wife's birthday, he can be reported to the authorities by his partner. After the first incident occurs, a formal warning is issued. It would not be expected that he would set enough reminders for the following year not to forget. But if he does disregard the date again, he must go through a series of intense interviews to determine why he could forget such an important date. Depending on the defense of his forgetfulness, he can even face serious consequences. Just wait till he gets home. Alright, going back to Arizona. Here, you need a special permit if you want a saguaro cactus removed from your property. Taking it away without authorization could find you behind bars for up to 3 years. These cacti can live up to 200 years, and the reason why such strict conservation efforts are in place is that it can only produce seeds at the age of 35. You find yourself along a beautiful beach in Italy, along the coastal town of Eraclea. And of course, you've brought a bucket. Just don't make any sand castles with it. They've been declared a dangerous trip hazard along the beach. So, on this beach, leave your bucket at home. Otherwise, you could face paying a fine of up to $250. When you're driving along the road or hiking through the woods in the USA, you might see a strange purple mark painted on a fence, pole, or even a tree. Throughout several states, these markers are advising not to trespass on private property. They're using the paint instead of the normal warning signs, as it's a cheaper alternative that lasts longer. It's been implemented at different times over the past decade in 15 states, and it's expected to continue to spread to others. So be sure to keep a sharp eye out for these markers. One day, the authorities of Singapore noticed that about $150,000 a year are spent to clean chewing gum, and it wasn't only under chairs and tables. They found it in critical areas on subway trains, which affected their sensors, causing delays. So, in 1992, gum was officially banned. The law has become more lenient toward tourists, with only small amounts allowed into the country. And dentists can also prescribe it to their patients for dental hygiene. There was also another issue in Singapore regarding cleanliness in public toilets. The authorities realized there were way too many messy public toilets throughout the country. This could no doubt put a stain on their reputation as one of the cleanest countries in the world. They enforced a monitoring system involving toilet agents. These guys monitor the toilets, making sure there are only clean ones. Business owners who fail to meet hygiene standards are reported. You're walking down a busy street in Thailand. You've dropped a money bill. The wind picks up and blows it away, and you chase it frantically. You get close enough to stop it, but make sure you don't use your foot. It's considered a great offense to step on the bill. Feet are considered low and dirty in Thailand, so you cannot step on the Thai money, since the bills have portraits of important people. No matter how great the value of your note is, don't tread on it. Otherwise, you'll find yourself locked up. Now, you speed your car along the Autobahn in Germany. It's one of the last places you can drive as fast as you like. But as you travel along, the fuel gauge shows the gas tank is empty. You pull over and stop. Not a big deal anywhere else, but here it's considered as an avoidable risk. You will have to pay a fine of $80 for not having the foresight to fill up when you had the chance. Further rules on the Autobahn include no parking, reversing, or even making a U-turn. Now back in the 40s, a pair of pickle packers were selling their wares in Connecticut. Their pickles weren't exactly edible, but they still tried to sell their out-of-date goods. They were soon caught, and a new law was put in place to avoid this problem in the future. The new requirement was made that for a pickle to be sold, it would have to bounce. This was the best way to check if they were safe to eat at the time. As preservation methods advanced, the law was forgotten, but it's still in place today. It's late night in New York City, and you quickly run to the store. There's no point putting your shoes on, too much effort for such a short trip. But as you cross the road, you're suddenly stopped by the police. You're confused because you did nothing wrong, but they quickly arrest you for the offense of wearing slippers past 10 p.m. This rule is in place as it's believed the smelly slippers attract rats and other vermin. Still, wearing your pajamas in public is fine. You're driving across the dry, sandy roads of Western Australia. You're hiding something suspicious inside your vehicle, hesitant as you go, hoping not to draw attention to yourself. Suddenly, you grow concerned as you're being pulled over by the Potato Marketing Authority. They search your vehicle and find that you're carrying more than 110 pounds of potatoes. This law was put in place in 1946 to protect commercial activities during a time of serious rationing. Although the law has since been removed, it wasn't until 2016. If you're planning a trip to the English House of Parliament, make sure you left your suit of armor at home. In the year 1313, it was declared that no one can enter fully knitted in their metal suits. It was made for safety reasons. It took a few years to take effect. At first, this new ruling was ignored by the Earl of Lancaster. But following his persecution for ignoring this law, there hasn't been any armor in Parliament since 1319, and the law remains in place to this day. So Greece has had many historical monuments that have stood the test of time, but the biggest concern to their ongoing stability is tourism. A law to counter this was to ban wearing high heels at any historical monuments. The Odeon, a theater made from stone, was built in 161 AD. Today, it has distinct damage caused by walking. Amongst the damage, they also found 60 pounds of chewing gum between the crevices. So, food and drink are also banned, along with pointy shoes. You're flying a kite in the state of Victoria in Australia, a seemingly harmless activity, but don't be surprised if the police suddenly show up. A law was made in 1966, stating that if you flew a kite at the cost of annoying someone nearby, then you can be fined, and trust me, it's a pretty penny. But given the size of Australia, it should be pretty easy to find somewhere to fly a kite without anyone around. In Oklahoma, caring for dogs' well-being is valued highly, so much so that it's illegal to make strange faces toward a dog. You could be fined for doing this act and possibly face some serious punishment. Now, although strange, this one should definitely be made a universal rule, unless the dog makes a face right back.
It might seem totally innocent, but this pink slime in your house is actually a huge red flag. If you don't do anything about it, it can make you seriously sick. People call this uninvited tenant pink mold, although it's bacteria, not fungus. These little monsters prefer warm, wet environments and like to have fatty substances like soap residue or shampoo for lunch. All this makes your shower, tub, toilet, the shower curtain, and other places around your bathroom their dream home. Now, before you run to the bathroom and scrub the pink mold until you drop, you need to know it's not a threat to everyone. If you aren't in the risk group, the pink slime could give you some really unpleasant sensations in your eyes. But it's a way bigger threat to people whose immune systems isn't the strongest, like kids, the elderly, those who have chronic illnesses, and those who already take strong meds. For them, the bacteria can cause some serious infections in various parts of the body, including the chest, gut, and urinary tract. It's rather persistent, and you can't easily take it down with antibiotics. And if it enters the bloodstream, the consequences can be really serious, to the point that it could take your life. Once it's settled in your bathroom, the pink slime is really hard to get rid of. It has developed an immunity to many disinfectants and can even form biofilms, which only complicates things. So the best you can do to protect yourself and your loved ones from all this is to not let pink slime settle in your bathroom. Keep it dry and well ventilated. Keep the exhaust fan on or open a window during every shower and bath. And for at least 20 minutes after you take it to keep humidity under control. Clean your bathroom at least once a week. And when I say clean it, I also mean places you've possibly never cleaned before, like your shower curtain. Launder it according to its label instructions with an antibacterial detergent. Hang it up to dry completely before you put it back in the shower, and replace it every now and then. If you already have that nasty pink slime in your bathroom, you can remove it with several solutions. For mild cases, try a mix of 1 part vinegar to 1 part water with a few drops of dish soap. If that doesn't work for you, try cleaning the slime with undiluted vinegar, a bleach solution, or a bleach-based bathroom cleaner. And if the amount is really over the top, make a paste from baking soda and dish soap and rub it in. Once you get rid of the unwanted tenant, remember to keep the bathroom clean for your own good. Another guest you'd rather not host is black soot that appears on your walls and ceilings, seemingly out of nowhere. This powder forms when carbon-based materials like candles or gas don't burn completely. It mostly settles near light switches, outlets, and the base of doors. It might seem harmless and just ruin the aesthetics of your house, but it can actually do a lot of harm to your health too, and cause asthma, heart problems, and other more serious problems. Just like with the pink slime, infants, the elderly, and those with existing health conditions are especially at risk. To prevent black soot from forming, you might want to reconsider your choice of candles. Opt for the best ones, high-quality candles that do not soften so easily. Use candles with single wicks, as multi-wick candles produce more soot. Scented candles could also be a problem, as they contain volatile aromatic components, some of which may not burn completely. After burning candles in your house, make sure to ventilate it well. In fact, unless you're a hardcore real candle fan, try the LED alternative. Also, check out your heating gadgets every now and then. Furnaces, especially gas ones, often cause black soot if they aren't well maintained. If you already have black soot, try using a dry cleaning sponge to absorb what you can from the mess. These sponges are more gentle on your surfaces, so you shouldn't ruin paint or finishes. If it doesn't work, try adding a small amount of rubbing spirits to your cloths. And if that fails too, you might want to call the professionals. Have you ever noticed some weird white crystals around batteries you use to power your toys, electronics, and household appliances? It's a clear sign the battery is damaged and liquid battery acid is leaking out and putting you at risk. If this acid gets onto your skin, it can give you some serious problems, such as chemical burns. And it's even worse in the case of your eyes. It could make your eyesight worse, or even cause blindness. If you accidentally inhale it, there will be serious respiratory issues. Batteries leak for all sorts of reasons, from damage when you drop them to super hot or cold temperatures, or just poor quality. To avoid all this, choose good batteries, preferably lithium. Keep them in a cool, dry place and don't let them expire. If you notice bulging or corrosion in the casing, get rid of that battery.
Bye-bye.
In case precautions didn't help and your alkaline battery is leaking, put on gloves and goggles and neutralize it with vinegar. Scrub the battery gently with a toothbrush, then wipe with a damp cloth. Get rid of residue in a sealed bag. If your house suddenly smells like fish and you aren't cooking it for lunch, it's time to call an electrician. This smell of fish or burning plastic near the outlets is a sign that the wiring insulation is beginning to melt, as there's an electrical fire just beginning. Those fires cause many house fires and plenty of damage to businesses. Electrical fires usually happen when there are some problems with the wiring in the building. If you have any ungrounded outlets, overloaded circuits, or too many extension cords, any of those could be the culprit. When lights flicker, or if you hear a low buzzing sound when certain lights are turned on, this may also mean an overloaded circuit. To prevent electrical fires from happening, make sure to get your wiring checked every 3 to 5 years. Make sure that all the appliances in a building are the right voltage for an outlet, and never plug an extension cord into another extension cord. Always keep flammables like cooking oils or fabric away from outlets. Use surge protectors to protect your devices from unexpected power surges from outlets. Unplug devices when you don't use them so they don't overheat. If your bathroom mirror turns into a blurry mess after a hot shower every now and then, it isn't a big deal. But if it keeps happening every time someone showers, it can mess up your mirror permanently. Over time, those tiny water droplets can eat away at the back of the mirror, leaving ugly black spots that won't come off. That's called desilvering, and once it's bad enough, you'll probably need a new mirror. But wait, it gets worse. All that trapped moisture doesn't just disappear. If it sticks around, it can cause paint to peel, wallpaper to bubble or flake, and water stains to show up on the ceiling. Mold is an even more concerning consequence of all this. It loves damp places, and it can start as tiny dark spots on the walls or in the grout, or even hide inside the walls where you can't see it. Once it starts growing, it can mess with your health and make you cough, sneeze, feel stuffy, or aggravate allergies and asthma. The good news is that you can stop this from happening. Open the bathroom window if you have one. Turn on the bathroom fan every time you shower. Wipe the mirror with a towel or squeegee as soon as it fogs up. And if you're still having issues, try a small dehumidifier in the bathroom. The sooner you get rid of that moisture, the better off your mirror, bathroom, and lungs will be.
See this weird grayish lump lying on the ground and steaming? Well, what are you waiting for? Run as fast as you can. It can burst right into your face at any moment, leading to horrifying consequences. A disaster is unfolding in front of your eyes. At first, the ground starts trembling. A deep rumbling sound echoed through the valley. Then, boom, the volcano explodes, hurling glowing rocks high into the sky. Among them is a blob of molten rock, fresh from the Earth's fiery depths. As it's soaring, the blob begins to change. The cold air wraps around it, hardening its outer layer, while the inside remains hot and gooey. Some of its neighbors are different. Some have gas bubbles trapped inside. Others have solid rock cores, and a few stretch into long, twisting ribbons. The biggest of these flying blobs are as large as a small car. For 10 long seconds, the lava blob is flying and twisting and tumbling. Below, people begin to realize the extent of the danger and start scattering. It's useless. Flying blobs can travel for miles, up to 6 miles away to be precise. Then the moment comes. The lava blob slams into the ground. Some of its smaller companions have cooled completely and landed with a thud, but this one is still burning inside a crystalline container called a bleb. As it strikes the earth, its hard shell cracks and molten lava oozes out, sizzling and steaming, spreading out like a giant fiery pancake. The eruption is past, but the danger remains. Lava bombs, though fascinating, are among the most dangerous tricks of a volcano. The insides of the biggest blobs remain blazing hot, still bubbling with energy. They're not just warm, the temperature inside reaches hundreds of degrees. If one of these fiery projectiles struck a person, it would crush them instantly. Even worse, lava bombs can blow apart or cause secondary explosions in 2 cases. If the lava bomb has volcanic gases, like water vapor, CO2, or sulfur gases inside, rapid cooling can trap them. When pressure builds up, it can cause the bomb to burst. Or if a hot lava bomb lands in water or ice, the sudden temperature change can create steam explosions, sending debris flying. Lava blebs come in different shapes, depending on how fluid the magma was when it was ejected. Their forms are also shaped by how they travel through the air and how they land. Ribbon blebs form when very fluid magma is thrown out in long, stretchy blobs. As these break apart in midair, they create thin ribbon-like fragments that land intact. These blebs often have fluted textures and small air pockets inside. Spherical blebs also come from highly fluid magma, but instead of forming ribbons, they're shaped by surface tension, which pulls them into nearly perfect spheres as they cool. Spindle or almond-shaped lava blebs start off similarly to spherical ones, but as they spin through the air, they stretch into elongated football-like shapes. One size usually ends up smoother than the other, showing how it moved when it fell. Cow pie blebs, yep, the real name for them, form when very liquid lava doesn't cool before hitting the ground. Instead of solidifying in the air, it lands while still molten and flattens on impact, spreading out in irregular roundish shapes that resemble, cow patties. There are also bread crust blebs that occur when the outer layer of a lava bomb hardens during flight while the inside remains hot. As the interior expands, it cracks the hardened shell, giving it a texture similar to the crust of a loaf of bread. Cored lava bombs have a hardened shell surrounding an inner core made of older volcanic rock, pieces from an earlier eruption, or even fragments of the surrounding landscape. Whatever shape a lava blob takes, you should watch out for one during a volcanic eruption, even if you're miles away from the epicenter. But lava blobs aren't the only danger you should watch for when wandering around volcanoes. Sometimes, when small drops of lava are thrown from a volcano, they can stretch into thin, elongated shapes as they cool. If they form small teardrop-like shapes, they're called Pele's tears, after the Hawaiian volcano and fire deity. If they become longer, thinner strands, they're known as Pele's hair. In this case, you can notice something that looks like golden mats of fine hair covering the ground. These aren't strands of human or animal hair, but delicate threads of volcanic glass. They form when gas bubbles in lava burst, stretching the molten rock into long hair-like fibers. Pele's hair can be incredibly thin, sometimes just 1 micron thick. But at the same time, they can reach up to a couple of feet in length. They are so lightweight that the wind can easily carry them through the air. Later, they settle in low-lying areas, sometimes piling up in thick layers. Now, despite their delicate appearance, these strands are actually tiny pieces of glass. They are sharp and brittle, and if they get on the skin, they can cause irritation. If they get into the eyes, they can be even more dangerous. That's why it's very important to be cautious when around Pele's hair. Now imagine a tidal wave of fire and ash racing down a mountain with unstoppable force. This is a pyroclastic flow, a fast-moving surge of scorching gases and shattered rock that buries everything in its path. These flows can stretch for miles, moving as fast as a racing car and reaching temperatures hot enough to melt metal, up to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Pyroclastic flows strike without warning. The collapse of an erupting volcano's towering ash column or a lava dome, a massive plug of hardened lava sitting at the volcano's mouth, can easily trigger one. The moment it gives way, the fiery avalanche is unleashed, rolling down the slopes with terrifying speed, vaporizing forests, flattening villages, and incinerating anything caught in its path. There is no outrunning a pyroclastic flow. It is the most fatal force a volcano can unleash, responsible for claiming over 90,000 lives in the past 400 years. That's 1/3 of all volcanic fatalities. Not only do these flows burn, crush, and suffocate, but they also destroy buildings, bridges, and anything human-made. While scientists can predict the most likely paths, usually along valleys, history has shown that powerful flows can jump bridges, sweep over hills, and strike areas we once thought were safe. Volcanic lightning isn't as dangerous as a pyroclastic flow, but it's a breathtaking view. It forms only in the thick ash-filled clouds that erupt from certain volcanoes. These towering columns, called volcanic plumes, shoot up into the sky when a volcano releases massive amounts of ash. Not all volcanoes create these plumes. That's why volcanic lightning is rare. For example, the volcanoes in Hawaii mostly erupt with flowing lava rather than thick clouds of ash, so they almost never produce volcanic lightning. Now look at these tiny ash particles. Before an eruption, they're squeezed together inside the volcano under extreme pressure. But when they burst into the open air, they collide and rub against each other in a process known as friction. This friction charges the particles, just like when you rub a balloon on your hair. As these charged particles rise into the air, they start to separate. Positive charges move one way, and negative charges move in a different direction. When the difference in charge becomes too great, the energy bursts free as a lightning bolt, cutting through the volcanic plume. Some of the most devastating consequences of a volcanic eruption are lahars. A lahar is a powerful, fast-moving river of mud, ash, and rock that rushes down the slopes of a volcano, destroying everything in front of it. These terrifying mud flows form when heavy rains mix with loose volcanic debris. When lahars sometimes happen during an eruption, they can also strike without warning. This makes them especially dangerous. Like pyroclastic flows, lahars move fast, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles. They can bury entire towns, sweep away bridges, and wipe out roads, leaving behind a deep layer of mud and rock. One of the most devastating lahar disasters happened in Colombia in 1985 when the Nevado del Ruiz volcano unleashed a mudflow that buried the town of Armero, taking the lives of over 23,000 people. Another tragic event occurred in the 1990s when lahars and pyroclastic flows from the Soufriere Hills volcano wiped out the capital city of Plymouth, causing $500 million in damage. You're wandering across the Sahara Desert and all you can see around is endless sand. And then, all of a sudden, you spot this mark in the sand. The wisest thing to do is run away from that spot as fast as you can. Because if you squint and focus really well, you'll realize that you're looking at a Saharan horned viper hiding in the sand, waiting for its next meal. Paradoxically, the bite of the snake has never led to human fatalities. But then, why should you run away? Well, let's find out. The Saharan horned viper is one of the desert's most famous snakes and a pro at hiding in plain sight. The Cerastes cerastes, which is this snake's scientific name, is one of the most well-camouflaged creatures in the entire animal kingdom. It can measure between 12 and 24 inches in length on average, but the biggest specimens can stretch up to a whopping 33 inches, nearly 3 feet. And while that might not seem too long, trust me, you wouldn't want one to sneak up on you. Interestingly, the females of this species are larger than the males, which is rare in snakes and gives the females an even more intimidating presence. But the truly unique thing about this viper is, of course, those creepy horns, one above each eye. They give the reptile a dragon-like look, setting it apart from most other desert vipers. Not all Saharan horned vipers have these horns. Some have small nubs or none at all. You could say it's a bit of a genetic lottery. Still, these horns add to the viper's threatening vibe and make it look even more fearsome. But it's not just their horns or size that makes them fascinating. Males and females look different beyond just their size. Males have noticeably larger heads and eyes than females. And compared to their relative, Saharan horned vipers have bigger heads and are more likely to sport these spooky horns. Now, let's talk about what makes the Saharan horned viper a true master of survival: its uncanny ability to blend into the sands. This viper's coloration matches the Sahara's various shades: yellow, pale gray, pinkish, reddish, or light brown. It has an intricate pattern along its back, with dark, semi-rectangular patches that sometimes fuse into crossbars. At the same time, the underbelly is white, and the tail often has a black tip. And it's another trick. Some animals can mistake this feature for a scorpion stinger. This camouflage is the viper's main line of defense and its tool for hunting. The reptile doesn't just slither around in plain view. Instead, it buries itself in the sand. The viper can wiggle its body under the soft desert sand, leaving only its eyes and nostrils visible. Imagine a creature so skilled at hiding that it can lay completely flat and practically disappear, waiting for hours until an unsuspecting mouse or lizard or human wanders by. During the day, the viper also takes shelter under rocks and in burrows left by other animals. Sometimes it even simply hides in the shade of bushes. For a creature that looks so fierce, the Saharan horned viper is surprisingly even-tempered. It won't waste its venom on a threat it can avoid, preferring instead to lie still or try to hide. But when it feels truly threatened, the snake gives a truly dramatic warning. It rubs its coils together, producing a distinctive hissing and crackling sound that lets you know it's ready to strike. And if you ignore that warning, well, this viper's bite is loaded with toxic venom that can be quite dangerous. That's why handling such snakes can be a fatal mistake, as two unlucky handlers in Europe once discovered. Both men were bitten by captive Saharan horned vipers, and the bites caused extreme swelling, blood clotting issues, and even kidney failure. The venom in these bites has special compounds that mess with blood clotting, attack kidneys, and can cause serious internal bleeding. The best treatment for these bites is specific antivenom. but it's clear that the bite of a Saharan horned viper is nothing to take lightly. Now here's another astonishing fact about this reptile. When it does move, the Saharan horned viper doesn't slither in the usual way. Instead, it uses a unique style called sidewinding. Picture the animal lifting a loop of its body, moving that loop forward, and then pulling the rest along behind. This sideways walking lets the snake move across the hot sand without letting its belly touch the ground for too long. In a place as hot as the Sahara, this technique isn't just cool looking, it's essential for survival. While the Saharan horned viper is a champion of desert camouflage, it has some serious competition in the camouflage department. Around the world, there are other snakes that have protected the art of blending into their surroundings to catch prey and avoid being eaten themselves. Like the eastern brown snake, an Australian snake that is one of the most venomous in the world. Its brown color lets it blend in with rocks and soil, making it extremely hard to spot until you're practically on top of it. A bite from the snake can be fatal in less than an hour. Or the eastern copperhead, found in the forests of the U.S. This snake's pale tan and pinkish colors blend in perfectly with autumn leaves. It often freezes in place rather than slithering away, which leads to many accidental bites. Its venom usually isn't fatal, but it's painful, and since the reptile hides so well, encounters are common. The Perengaise adder from Angola and Namibia loves to hide in the sand like the Saharan horned viper. It mostly eats lizards, and its sandy-colored scales make it almost impossible to see. Thankfully, its bite isn't too dangerous for humans. Now look at this terrifying creature. It's the timber rattlesnake. This rattlesnake lives in the lush forests of the U.S. and uses its colors to blend into the forest floor. You might not see it, but if you hear its rattle, take a step back since its venom is potent. The Pacific gopher snake, found on the west coast of the U.S., can grow up to 7 feet long. The only plus in this situation is that this reptile is non-venomous. It camouflages well in forests and fields, but is harmless to people. Just don't scare it, or you'll get a bite, which is still unpleasant. In the rocky terrains of California and Oregon, you might meet the northern Pacific rattlesnake, which likes blending into dark brown and gold rocks. Hearing a rattle is often your only warning, since this dangerous snake is nearby. These neck snakes aren't particularly dangerous, but they're unsurpassed masters of camouflage. The smooth green snake has a bright green color that matches the leaves in trees and grass, which makes it practically invisible among foliage. The common European viper prefers hiding among leaves and shrubs, and the harmless common garter snake has colors that blend in with dirt and grass. Keep in mind, though, that even though all these snakes are not venomous, they can still give a painful nip. Oh, and I can't but mention the massive reticulated python. Even though it can grow over 21 feet, this South Asian snake is expert at hiding among leaves and shadows. It's one of the only snakes known to occasionally hunt humans, so tread carefully in its territory. Now, in the wild, snakes like the Saharan horned viper rely on camouflage to hunt and avoid being hunted. They might be blending into leaves, sand, or rocks, but in any case, these snakes have evolved to stay hidden from predators and prey alike. The desert viper buries itself to stay cool and catch food, while forest snakes blend in to hunt in silence or avoid curious humans. For them all, staying hidden isn't just a matter of survival, it's a huge advantage. So, next time you're out in nature, remember that you might be walking right past a hidden hunter, watching you from the shadows with a quiet, horrifying patience. Have fun out there.
A trip to Hawaii may become your last. This is exactly what happened to David Potts, who came to Maui to spend some quality time with his girlfriend. We all know that the ocean can pose a whole bunch of dangers. Riptides, sharks, poisonous algae. Even a seemingly safe sand hole can end your life in a matter of seconds. Blowholes can do that too. The thing is, they're not frequently spoken of, therefore, many people just don't know that they'd better stay away from them. Now, let me break it down for you what a blowhole is. You all know sea caves, right? As any other formation, these grow in size. In case they grow landward and upward, they sort of turn into vertical shafts, exposing themselves toward the surface. As of now, everything seems fine, no extreme danger whatsoever, right? But the scary things start if those shafts begin getting hydraulic compression. In this case, seawater is released through a port right on top of the blowhole. The result looks like a geyser, and by the way, those blowholes even have a second name: marine geysers. The height of the spray may vary, and it's up to the geometry of the cave and blowhole, combined with tidal levels and swell conditions. So what exactly happened to David, who met his early demise in Hawaii? Those who were unlucky enough to witness this horrible incident said that Mr. Potts had been spotted dancing around one of those blowholes. He was dangerously close, just inches away from the opening. Moreover, some people claimed he had even been playing in the sprays of water that were shooting high into the sky. Then he suddenly disappeared into thin air. As it was discovered later, he fell into a blowhole. There were no official statements concerning whether Mr. Potts had passed away or not, yet he was never found, meaning his destiny is pretty much clear to everyone. The story took place back in 2011, so he's definitely not coming back, sadly. The big question is, who's responsible for this tragedy? There are no warning signs at the sign, so David could not know how dangerous that innocent fun was in reality. Moreover, witnesses claim it was slippery there, so it must have been an accident. However, despite most tourists knowing how notorious this area is, they still continue visiting the site. No tragic reminders help. So, how do you save yourself in case you come across a blowhole? The best way to do that is to keep as far away from it as possible. If you get sucked by it, your chances of surviving are virtually nil. Just for comparison, not every tsunami gives you chances this low. For instance, a 1-foot water level tsunami only gives you a 0.01% probability of passing away. Even a 3-foot water level, when you literally cannot stand on the ground, only says that the probability of passing away is high. Blowholes, on the contrary, don't give you any chances. They pull you in once and for all. But how do these terrifying holes actually work? Blowholes are most likely to form in places where there are crevices. A good example of a crevice is a lava tube. A lava tube, or you can also alternatively hear the name pyroduct, is a natural channel created by the movement of lava from a volcanic vent when it's traveling beneath the solidified exterior of a lava flow. When the lava within the tube drains away, it results in the formation of a cave. Those tubes can often be found along fault lines. A fault line is a flat fracture in the rock where significant displacement has occurred due to rock movement. Major faults in the Earth's crust are caused by tectonic forces, often forming at plate boundaries, like those found in subduction zones or transform faults. The rapid movement of these active faults generates most earthquakes, although some faults may shift slowly without causing seismic activity. It's known as aseismic creep. The next ingredient is powerful waves. When they hit the coast, water gets in those crevices. But since there's high pressure inside, it bursts out in the form of spray. To be honest, it's a whole show, as those water bursts are accompanied by a particular loud noise, which makes it very attractive for tourists. Sure thing, these formations do not only exist in Hawaii. Probably the most popular blowhole out there is located far away from Maui, in New South Wales, Australia. There's a small town of Kiama, and only around 15,000 people call it home. However, this small place attracts myriads of people because of a blowhole also nicknamed Kiama. This name has a meaning behind it. It's literally translated as where the sea makes a noise. And remember, blowholes are normally accompanied by a particular sound. The town of Kiama literally makes its living thanks to this unusual geological formation, attracting up to 900,000 tourists each year. There must be something special to see other than the hole, right? Otherwise, so many people wouldn't be ready to pay their hard-earned money to travel there. The blowhole in question can spray water up to 82 feet in the air. Trust me, if you come close to this place, you'll get thoroughly drenched in water. While this is not surprising, as we're dealing with the world's biggest blowhole here. Remember I told you, once you get into the blowhole, there's no coming back? It's not entirely true. Scott Gutterson actually ventured inside, studied the blowhole, and even found a secret chamber there. When he first went down to the bottom of Kayama, he found there a couple of bronze statues, some fishing rods, hats, a push bike, and even money. Still, you gotta remember that Mr. Gutterson is a professional, and you should never repeat his stunts. It's not the only blowhole that the town of Kayama has to offer. There's one called Little Blowhole, all because of its narrow shape. The good thing about it is that it's safer to visit than its big brother, but it can promise views as spectacular as the big blowhole. The brothers are a bit far away from each other though. The big one is just several feet away from the coastline, and the little one is around a mile south of the main blowhole. Sometimes there are fun legends behind those natural phenomena. You see, modern people can explain why water bursts from underneath the ground. We know the mechanics and logic behind it. But in olden times, people were way more superstitious, and it was not only easier to explain various phenomena as something supernatural, sometimes it was the only one explanation available due to the lack of knowledge and equipment. Thus, La Bufadora, a big blowhole in Mexico, got its beautiful legend. People used to believe that there was a whale trapped in the rocky point and that the whale would blow water to attract the attention of its pod. With time, the whale turned to stone and remained there forever. Nobody definitely believes in it in the 21st century, but this legend helps attract tourists from all over the world, which locals are very happy about. You see, La Bufadora is located in a small town 17 miles south of Ensenada, and the blowhole helps create working places. Locals opened souvenir and food places, and at some point, there were about 150 active businesses not far away from the famous blowhole. You can often hear that people call La Bufadora a marine geyser, and while some blowholes can be referred to this way, this is not the case with La Bufadora. This one lacks thermal sources, and thus it can't be called a geyser. The water sprout here is the result of air trapped in a sea cave and forced upward. For it to happen, a wave must push the air into the cave. As a result, this wave is released in the form of water, recedes, creating that signature spray going upward. By the way, those sprays can reach up to 100 feet into the air. The sprays have their own time frequency too. It depends on multiple factors. But as for La Bufadora, the range between eruptions is 13 to 17 seconds.
This wild story began when a Reddit user shared his truly bizarre find online. After he posted a gold glowing rock he thought might contain uranium, the internet went nuts. But we need a backstory. It'll make everything even more exciting. Garrett Tennis, a 25-year-old man from New Hampshire, explained that it all started around 30 years ago when his dad visited Ruggles Mine. He found an amazing rock. It glowed like a neon sign when he shined a UV flashlight on it. No wonder he thought it must be something special. So he took the rock with him and hid it under his father's shed. Fast forward to the present time. Garrett and his dad decided it would be fun to check out his grandfather's place to see if that rock was still there. Well, yes, it was still there. So Garrett took that glowing rock home. He was super excited to put it to the test. He grabbed a Geiger counter, that's that cool gadget that measures radioactivity, and then he made a mind-blowing discovery. The Geiger counter hit a staggering 3,000 counts per minute of radiation, which is way above normal levels. Now, let's put this in perspective. A reading of 100 CPM is considered a warning level. So when Garrett saw 3,000 CPM, he knew he was dealing with something serious. Those CPM measurements tell you how many radioactive particles are floating around. While our bodies can handle low radiation levels, long-term exposure can really increase the risks of terrible illnesses. Well, later, Garrett learned that the rock contained a substance called gumite. That's a radioactive material made up of uranium and other radioactive stuff. The real danger comes from touching the rock and then accidentally inhaling or swallowing dust from it. That's when things can get really serious. Since finding it out, Garrett has been super careful to keep himself and his family safe from that glowing menace. But let's get back to that Reddit post Garrett made. It set off a heated discussion. One Redditor wrote that the rock might be uranium ore. He told Garrett to be super cautious. They pointed out that while uranium emits particles that can't really penetrate your skin, the real danger comes from the particles getting inside your body. And since the rock was described as crumbly, there probably was a risk that those particles could become airborne, leading to serious health issues. Well, the tension was rising. Then, the CEO of a uranium mining company explained to Newsweek that while 3,000 CPM was a high reading, it was not unusually harmful to people. Such levels are like those of the rocks you'd find at uranium exploration sites. Well, that was a relief. But this staggering discovery can serve as a powerful reminder to always be cautious with weird finds. Whether it's a glowing rock or something odd you spot outdoors, you never know what you might be dealing with. Some beautiful things hide fatal dangers, like this mineral. Chalcanthite dazzles with its brilliant blue hue. Just look at it. Has it come from the stars? Nope, it has an earthly origin. It's just a hydrated, water-soluble copper sulfate, and it serves as an especially important source of copper ore. At the same time, when this stuff encounters moisture, it can dissolve and recrystallize. And no one wants this, since it can potentially lead to copper poisoning of the entire area. Plus, keep in mind that it's toxic to people. Well, there's 2 strikes right there. Or look at this beauty, stibnite. It looks like something that belongs to the Game of Thrones fantasy drama. Well, if we speak about poisoning, definitely. Stibnite is a highly toxic mineral. And still, for thousands of years, people used a paste made of this mineral in cosmetics. They thought it made eyebrows and eyelashes look better. But the worst thing? The mineral was also used to craft eating utensils. You can probably predict the outcome. Poisoning. The next perilous material on our list is arsenopyrite. It's an iron arsenic sulfide with a slick metallic steel look that's bound to catch your eye. But, of course, it's not as innocent as it seems. Mostly found chilling in hydrothermal vents, it often hangs out with gold deposits. Now, here's the worst thing about arsenopyrite. When it gets exposed to air and water, it oxidizes, and then boom, soluble arsenic floods into the environment. It wreaks havoc on ecosystems and is toxic to humans too. Well, next up we have galena, your go-to material if you're looking for lead, one of the world's most important ores for producing stuff. It's got a cubic structure, which makes it look cool. As a bonus, it's also a solid source of silver. Now, you can handle galena without any problems, but as long as it doesn't break down into lead dust, because that dust is toxic. If you breathe it in or swallow it, say goodbye to your health. Lead poisoning is no joke. Moving on to the nightmare fuel known as hutchinsonite. This one's packing not just arsenic, but also thallium and lead. Thallium, by the way, is tasteless, just like my jokes, and extremely toxic. Once it used to be the main element in rat poison and insecticides. So yeah, we've got quite a cocktail of dangerous elements in this material. If you come across it, steer clear. Exposure might literally be fatal. Anyway, look at this rock. It's so pretty. Well, don't let the enchanting orange-yellow color fool you. Orpiment, which is the name of this mineral, is life-threatening. This arsenic sulfide mineral pops up in hydrothermal vents and hot springs. Shockingly, people once used it medicinally in ancient China and even tried to alchemize it into gold. Spoiler alert, it didn't work, and they probably just ended up with arsenic poisoning. When orpiment gets mixed with oxygen, it releases arsenic. So if you ever find yourself close to this beauty, well, think twice. It's time to talk about stunning torbernite. This hydrated green copper phosphate is found in uranium-rich granites, and yes, it's radioactive. Not only does it naturally emit radon gas, which is a big contributor to serious lung problems, but if you spend too much time around it, well, you're playing a high-stakes game with your health. Uranium and radon exposure is not something you want on your resume. And now for the grand finale, cinnabar, a highly toxic mineral. This deep red mercury sulfide is the primary source of mercury. In the past, it was used for everything from trading to makeup to art. The name comes from the word meaning dragon's blood. If that's not metal, I don't know what is. People mined cinnabar from volcanic rock, roasted it to extract mercury, and sometimes ended up with a side of mercury poisoning, which is pretty bad. Cinnabar can vary in color from red-orange to deep red-purple. When pigmented, it's called vermilion. It was used to paint human bones, as tattoo dye, in cosmetics, and to decorate buildings and ceramics. In the Middle Ages, it even served as ink. In different cultures, people used cinnabar in cosmetics as rouge. Little did they know. Renaissance painters loved vermilion too. For example, Botticelli used cinnabar in several of his pieces, including Mystic Nativity. Rembrandt also used vermilion, for instance, to paint the dress of a woman in Belshazzar's feast. Now, of course, using cinnabar comes with risks, because when this material gets heated up, it releases toxic mercury vapor. When encapsulated in oil paint, it is less hazardous than in water-based paints like egg tempera. And please avoid using cinnabar or vermilion in dry forms, such as pastels, even with good respiratory and skin protection. The residues of this pigment can pose serious health and environmental risks. And now, here's a fun, or not-so-fun, fact for you. Do you know Artex, the textured coating that used to go on ceilings and walls? Well, it contains asbestos. From the 1950s to the 1980s, that bumpy stuff often had up to 3% asbestos mixed in. Now, asbestos is dangerous if it breaks down because those tiny fibers can get into your lungs and cause all kinds of bad problems. Most manufacturers stopped using asbestos in the early 80s. But if your home was built before 1999, there's a chance it's still hanging around. So don't go drilling or sanding that stuff without getting it tested first. You don't want to mess with asbestos. It's a slow predator that waits decades to strike. Brighter green plants might give us a warning when a volcano is stirring. Turns out, unlike earthquakes, which are super unpredictable, volcanoes can sometimes show early signs. Plants growing around volcanoes look healthier when volcanic activity ramps up because they thrive on increased carbon dioxide levels, a gas that volcanoes emit during eruptions and through underground magma. They also turn browner when the volcanic activity peaks, likely due to harmful gases and heat harming the vegetation. Scientists use satellites to figure this all out. They analyzed satellite data spanning from 1984 to 2022. Future changes might be tracked through satellite imagery as well. Now, this isn't easy to measure directly, especially when volcanoes are tucked away in hard-to-reach, lush areas, such as Taal Volcano in the Philippines and Mount Etna in Italy. This way, plants could give us a heads up about volcanic eruptions years before they happen. With this new weird method, we could save nearby communities by enhancing safety measures, minimizing property damage, and improving evacuation plans. Volcanoes and plants are often tied in mysterious ways. For example, volcanic eruptions in Krakatoa, Indonesia, gave a surprising boost to saguaro cacti in Arizona's Sonora Desert, even though they're thousands of miles away. When the infamous Krakatoa volcano erupted in the 19th century, it sent shockwaves around the world and suddenly helped nurture a generation of saguaros. These incredible cacti can be up to 40 feet tall as adults, but they start life as tiny seedlings that struggle to survive in the desert's harsh conditions. However, thanks to the cooler and wetter conditions caused by volcanic eruptions like Krakatoa, they can get unbelievable growth spurts. Chillier summers and milder winters that follow such eruptions create perfect conditions for young saguaros, which usually don't make it due to extreme heat and cold. But volcanoes not only influence plants, they're also Earth's jewelry makers. Deep beneath the surface, in the fiery heart of a volcano, conditions are just right to form dazzling gems. When volcanoes erupt, they can bring these treasures up to the surface. One of the most famous gems created by volcanic activity is the diamond. They're usually found in a rare type of volcanic rock called kimberlite, which forms deep within the earth under extreme pressure and temperature. Millions of years ago, kimberlite eruptions, small but powerful volcanic events, hauled diamonds from deep within the earth. This created sources for many of today's diamond mines. Now, these eruptions didn't happen just anywhere, but originated from the stable hearts of continents, known as cratons. They were bursting forth from as deep as 75 miles underground. Fueled by a mix of carbon dioxide and water, they were like natural rockets, blasting through the Earth to form carrot-shaped channels filled with diamond-laden rocks. Recently, scientists have delved into why these eruptions happen. They suggested that the breakup of ancient supercontinents like Pangaea disrupted the mantle's flow underneath, triggering these spectacular kimberlite eruptions. When a volcano that hosts kimberlite erupts, it can propel these precious stones toward the surface, where we eventually find them. There are other gems that can be found in solidified lava, like peridot, a bright green stone that forms in the molten rock of the upper mantle and is brought to the surface by volcanic activity. There's also obsidian, a shiny glass-like rock that forms when lava cools rapidly. And then there are some insane rocks, like the ones that can hold water in them, even in lava. The deeper we dive in volcanoes, the rarer are the gems we can find. If we dive into the thick layer known as the mantle, we might find olivine, a resilient, pretty green mineral that makes up about half of this layer. It loves high temperatures and happily forms in lava, eventually crystallizing into the igneous rocks we find scattered across the Earth's surface thanks to volcanic eruptions. As olivine cools, it starts to crystallize. Sometimes these crystals are tiny, but other times they grow large and can be polished into beautiful gemstones used in jewelry or industrial processes like metal casing. But as we venture deeper, about 250 miles down, olivine undergoes a fascinating transformation. Here we encounter the layer that's called the transition zone. In the transition zone, the pressure is intense and the heat is on the rise. In this place, olivine morphs into exotic materials like wadleysite and ringwoodite. They show a lovely blue-green hue and a glossy sheen. While they're too rare and small for jewelry, they have a unique ability to hold water within their structures, not as droplets, but as hydrogen and oxygen components, making up to 3% of their volume. Later, it turned out that the transition zone is not just a pressure cooker for minerals, it's a giant sponge, holding a vast underground water reservoir. This was a groundbreaking discovery. You get the pun? This hidden water doesn't form an ocean as we know it, but suggests vast amounts of water are stored deep within the Earth. Volcanoes can help us learn more about life not only on our planet, but on others as well. In the fiery heart of Costa Rica's Poas volcano lies Laguna Caliente. This hydrothermal crater lake is among the most brutal environments on Earth. We've got a whole bunch here: scalding temperatures, toxic minerals, and water so acidic it can corrode metal. But despite all that, there's a few tough microorganisms that manage to thrive in these conditions. And this remarkable survival has caught the attention of scientists because it might just hold clues about life on Mars. Scientists are studying these extreme microbes. Turns out they've developed a myriad of genetic adaptations to withstand their harsh surroundings. They have genes that help them process everything, from sulfur and iron to carbon and bioplastic granules. All these things could be crucial in environments as challenging as Mars. NASA's Perseverance rover is currently exploring the crater rim of Jezero crater on Mars. Previously, we looked for Martian life signs in places like old stream beds and river deltas. However, the discovery of Laguna Caliente suggests that we should probably look for life in the remnants of ancient Martian hot springs as well. These spots might have once had the right cocktail of heat, water, and energy sources that are thought to be essential for kickstarting biology. Volcanoes can help planets in many ways, but they can also destroy life. Scientists believe that volcanic activity was one of the main reasons for at least 3 of Earth's 5 mass extinctions. Take the mass extinction of dinosaurs. We're used to blaming it on the Chicxulub meteorite, but there's a chance it could have been caused by volcanoes. The consequences of the eruptions can be horrifying. Mount Tambora, located on the Indonesian island of Sumbawa, erupted in 1815 and was the most powerful eruption ever recorded in history. This massive eruption was so strong it ejected between 8 to 11 cubic miles of material. It was so loud that the sounds of the eruption were heard as far away as Sumatra, over 1,600 miles distant. Before its catastrophic eruption, Tambora had been dormant for centuries, and its magma chamber slowly cooled and crystallized. This process built up immense pressure inside the volcano. It was eventually released in a series of terrifying events starting on April 5, 1815. The climax came on April 10th, when massive plumes of ash and pumice were thrown into the atmosphere. The aftermath of the eruption was dire. Tsunamis devastated the surrounding area. It's estimated that around 4,600 people passed away immediately from the eruption itself, with ash fallouts affecting air quality and water sources across the region. This event came down in history as the year without a summer. This was due to the vast amount of sulfur dioxide Tambora ejected into the stratosphere. It created a veil of aerosols that reflected sunlight and significantly lowered global temperatures. A similar thing happened to our planet 66 million years ago, during the dinosaur extinction. The sky turned black for months. I mean, I wasn't there, but that's what they say.
Although the Da Vinci Code might not hold the same level of mystery as the Da Vinci Code, deciphering it can offer crucial protection against potential burglaries. This code consists of a series of cryptic notes and alerts that burglars use to communicate with each other, warning their accomplices about the risks and challenges they may face when targeting a specific property. By understanding and decoding the Da Vinci Code, we common people can effectively safeguard our homes and belongings against intruders, ensuring enhanced security and peace of mind. Look here, a cute garden gnome. Welp, if it doesn't belong to you and you didn't place it in your garden yourself, it's the Da Vinci Code. Police are warning about a concerning trend involving the placement of Christmas gnomes in gardens. These are not some gifts, and they aren't placed by mistake, as these gnomes may be used as a signal by potential burglars to determine if a home is vacant. So you gotta always remain vigilant and take steps to secure your property. Some authorities report that a band of serial burglars in Fairfax County, Virginia have been breaking into homes using bouquets of flowers and spray paint. Apparently, a lady would show up at the door with flowers, but if no one answered, she'd head back to the car. Then, two guys would bust in and steal stuff like jewelry and cash. They've been trying to stay incognito by interfering and covering up home security cameras. Thieves are drawing secret symbols in the street to communicate with other criminals about potential targets. These symbols can indicate whether a home is affluent, has already been robbed, or does not contain valuable items. Alarmingly, they can also signify if there is a vulnerable woman living in the house, or if the occupant is easily frightened or gullible. Law enforcement officers have deciphered the meanings behind several of these symbols. For example, an X suggests the home is a good target, while an X enclosed within a circle indicates there is nothing worth stealing inside. A capital D with a line through it signifies that breaking into the house is too risky, while 5 circles in the form of a star indicate a wealthy property. Additional symbols can reveal if a home is equipped with an alarm system or has been previously burglarized. Those signs aren't the only things you have to keep an eye out for. Watch out for unfamiliar solicitors who may seem out of place or suspicious when knocking on your door. If they're unable to provide proper identification or a valid reason for being there, it's best to proceed with vigilance. Be cautious of anyone claiming to be from a utility company but unable to provide a legitimate ID. They may have ulterior motives for wanting access to your home. It is important to remain vigilant and aware of your surroundings, especially when it comes to individuals who may be lingering around your residence. Keep a watchful eye out for anyone who appears to be loitering near your home, jotting down suspicious notes, or simply watching your property with a keen interest. This behavior could be a red flag that someone is monitoring your movements and activities, potentially in search of weaknesses or vulnerabilities in your home security. Make sure to report any suspicious behavior to the authorities and take necessary precautions to protect yourself and your property from potential threats. Also, be wary of individuals pretending to be survey takers or conducting market research. While some surveys may be genuine, scammers could use this as a way to gather information about your home security and routines. Keep an eye out for charity groups who may seem more interested in your home than your beliefs or donations. This could be a telltale sign of a potential scam. Also, look out for any unidentified vehicles in your neighborhood as they may be scouting for potential targets. If you find your mailbox jammed with unwanted leaflets or flyers, it could be a sign that someone is keeping a close eye on your home or trying to gather information. Burglars may try to create a fake accident to trick you into leaving your home. Be cautious and don't fall for that. If you're in doubt, always call 911. Additionally, be wary of strange phone calls where the caller remains silent. If you receive repeated calls like this, it could be a signal that your home is being targeted by burglars who want to see if you're there. Finding a pizza flyer or a newspaper under your welcome mat might also indicate that your home is being scoped out. If these items are left overnight, it could suggest to potential intruders that the house is empty. Be sure to remove them as soon as you return home. Formerly one of the most highly sought-after criminals in the country, Adrian Pritchard is now determined to assist individuals in avoiding the break-ins he once carried out. Pritchard spent a decade engaged in criminal activities, committing hundreds of burglaries that started when he was just a kid. Over 20 years since his last release from prison, Pritchard, who is now in his 50s, wants to share his insights on preventing crimes like the ones he used to perpetrate. Pritchard and his partners would conduct surveillance during the day and break into properties at night, employing various techniques to navigate through homes and businesses undetected. Moreover, he would sometimes engage in spiteful acts. For example, he could leave a total mess in a victim's house as a statement of defiance. Today, Pritchard resides in Hawke's Bay with his 3 daughters and is committing to helping others avoid falling victim to burglary. Drawing from his past experiences, he offers valuable advice on safeguarding homes, such as investing in surveillance cameras, keeping objects away from windows, and avoiding common hiding spots for spare keys. Additionally, Pritchard emphasizes the importance of deadbolts, maintaining clear letterboxes, and utilizing barbed wire for added security measures. Through his efforts to educate property owners, he strives to prevent individuals from experiencing the same violations he once inflicted on others. Returning home to a fresh and organized house after a vacation is always a relief. But it's important to remember that a completely spotless house can signal to potential burglars that no one is home. Try leaving a few things out, like an ironing board with a pile of clothes that need to be pressed, to make it seem like you've just stepped out for a moment, rather than being away for an extended period. Also, you should never ever post about your holiday on social media. And it's recommended not to write your travel dates on visible calendars, as it can give criminals a timeline to work with. To give the impression that someone is still at home while you're away, you can ask your friend to park their car in your driveway or leave the radio on loud. It would also be great if you could ask someone to close and open your curtains or blinds to maintain the appearance of occupancy. Additionally, make sure to remove any obvious signs of your absence, such as envelopes labeled holiday money, and ask a friend to rearrange things in your house periodically. It's extremely important to look after the homes of friends or neighbors who may be unable to do so themselves due to hospitalization or moving to residential care. Simple tasks like mowing the lawn, moving the mail, and even putting out your own rubbish can help deter potential burglars by giving the impression that someone is still around. Updating the appearance of the home, such as replacing faded curtains or tidying up the front garden, can also help prevent break-ins. Now, should you notice any of these warning signs or feel suspicious about door-to-door activity, it's important to contact the authorities for assistance. Always prioritize your safety and home security by staying vigilant and taking appropriate precautions. Remember, while these signs may not always indicate criminal activity, they should prompt you to take necessary action. One day, the hand of Ross McPherson, a teenager from Scotland, suddenly turned red and started hurting badly. Soon, a painful blister appeared. It was the size of an orange. This made it hard for Ross to even dress himself. The discomfort was unbearable, and he needed doctors' help to get rid of this nightmare. Turned out, he accidentally brushed his hand against the harmless-looking plant while riding his bike near his home. All this nightmare was caused by one very dangerous plant, the giant hogweed. The giant hogweed is a group of toxic look-alike plants that are known as Britain's most dangerous plant. Surprisingly, this plant is a member of the carrot family. It was originally hanging out in the Caucasus. People really liked it for its impressive height of over 16 feet and pleasant appearance. They started planting it in gardens, and then suddenly it turned out that the plant was highly toxic. By the 80s, it was officially banned from gardens in England. Giant hogweed hangs out near rivers and canals. Recently, it started popping up in gardens and parks too. People have spotted it all over the UK. This plant got even more attention during the recent years when everyone started spending more time in their gardens. It looks like a taller, more dangerous cousin of cow parsley or hemlock. It also has long stems and a bunch of white leaves, but its stem is pretty wide with a big, white, umbrella-shaped flower on top. To see the difference, watch out for its leaves. They look sharp and divided, around 6 feet in width. The stems are thick and bristly with stiff white hairs and hollow ridges. You might notice purple blotches on the stems, like hemlock, but this plant grows much taller and has fewer fern leaves. Its flower heads can stretch up to 2 feet. This plant's sap can really hurt you. It contains a chemical called furocumarin, which makes your skin super sensitive to sunlight. It can also cause a long-term problem called sensitization, which means that even years later, your skin can still react badly to sunlight. So if you get it on you and you go out in the sun, you'll end up with severe burns that blister and take forever to heal. People are often left with scars that stick around for life. And it's not just skin burns you have to worry about. If the sap gets in your eyes, it could even make you go blind. You should be especially careful in summer when it's most active. Remember that you can get affected by it even if you wear clothes or shoes. So just try to stay away from anything suspicious looking. Symptoms can include a rash, itching, and painful blisters. If you realize that you accidentally got hurt by this plant, go to the doctor immediately, especially if you see the blisters. First aid includes washing the area with soap and water and covering it up. There are other very toxic plants that could be hiding in your garden or local area, looking harmless and pretty. Don't be tricked by foxglove's beauty. This plant contains digitoxin, which is used in medicine to stimulate the heart. All parts of the foxglove plant are toxic. If you eat the leaves, you could end up with a stomachache, nausea, vomiting, or worse. In serious cases, it can even mess up with your vision and cause problems with your heart and kidneys. Nightshade is another one of the most poisonous plants. Don't eat it! Just a couple of its berries contain tropane alkaloids, which can be fatal to a person. This plant is a member of the tomato family. It can be found in woodlands, although it's not as common as it used to be. Its family is quite extensive, including tomatoes, potatoes, chilies, aubergines, peppers, and henbane. Despite its scary nature, we can extract an antidote for nerve gas from this plant. So while it's dangerous, it also holds a unique quality with potential medicinal uses. And finally, there's the hemlock water dropwort, also known as poison parsnip. It's a very common plant around rivers and lakes. As you can guess from the name, it's related to hemlock, another toxic plant. Hemlock is a very dangerous plant on its own. It can be fatal if eaten, and it contains 5 different alkaloids that can lead to severe paralysis of the nervous system. What's even worse is that it's often found in the wild around pretty populated areas. These two plants, however, live in different places and have different toxins. Every part of the hemlock water dropwort, including its tubers, stems, and leaves, contains a powerful poison called enanthotoxin. This poison targets the central nervous system and can cause serious convulsions. So, both of these plants are not to be messed with. These are just relatively toxic plants, but there are also those that are considered the most dangerous ones in the world. Aconite, also known as monk's hood or devil's helmet, is one of Europe's most poisonous. Just touching it can be harmful because of its potent neurotoxin. Manchineel tree is found in both Americas. This tree's sap can burn your skin. Its leaves and fruit are lethal. Castor bean is native to Africa. This shrub's seeds contain ricin, a toxin that's said to be 6,000 times more poisonous than cyanide. But it also has an upside. Castor oil can be extracted from these seeds. The seeds of jaguarity bean are used in jewelry, but they contain a toxin called abrin, which is extremely poisonous. So be careful with these accessories. Oleander is a common ornamental plant. However, it contains toxins that make it poisonous. While poisonings are common, luckily, the plant is so bitter that no one wants to eat it in large quantities, so fatal cases are rare. Gympie gympie is a plant from Australasia, Indonesia, and Malaysia. The plant has a funny name, but its stinging hairs cause extreme discomfort lasting for months or even years. And finally, the potato plant. Though not as toxic as others, can be harmful if eaten. The green parts of the potato plant contain toxins like solanine and chaconine. Getting rid of toxic plants around your garden is crucial, even though it's not legally required. Especially because they could spread in the wild and you could get in trouble with the law for that. Here's what you can do to remove them safely. First, wear protective gear like gloves and face masks. Cover your skin completely and make sure that nothing can touch it. Make sure to dispose of the gear later or wash it immediately very carefully. Be careful not to let toxic plants flower. Try to dispose of them when they're small and pull them out when the soil is wet. For bigger plants, you might need to loosen the roots with a fork. It's best to leave this to professionals if it's a large area. Finally, make sure to dispose of the plant carefully. Don't just throw it anywhere, as it can spread and cause more problems. And stay on your guard in the future, as it can produce a lot of seeds that stick around for a long time. There's no need to panic if you see them in your garden. Just be careful and take action if you find it on your property. If you see them in your area, call the professionals to remove them. Luckily, fatal cases are very rare, and even if you accidentally touch the plant, you should be fine if you go to the doctor as soon as possible. But why are some plants so dangerous? It's all about chemistry and how plants have evolved over time. Plants develop toxins to protect themselves from being eaten by animals. If a plant is slightly more toxic than its neighbors, it has a better chance of surviving because animals will avoid it. Interestingly, most of the plants became dangerous to scare away large ancient animals like woolly mammoths or aurochs, not humans. Because of that, these toxins often aren't fatal. The plants only wanted to make those who ate it feel unwell so animals would stop eating the plant. Now, these large animals are extinct and nobody touches these guys. Unfortunately, they've already evolved to stay paranoid, so all we can do is stay as far away from them as possible. In December 2014, an entire district in Budapest got covered with ice crystals. The trees in the area couldn't handle the pressure from the ice and they started toppling over. It was a spooky occurrence called ice fog. When it happens, the temperature drops significantly, freezing everything around, like Dementors did in the Harry Potter movies. All thanks to a temperature flip-flop. It not only messes with what you can see, but also creates ghostly pillars and halos that glow in the dark. Ice fog is made up of tiny ice crystals. When it's below 14 degrees Fahrenheit, water droplets in the air freeze and turn into ice crystals. Until then, they stay liquid unless they find something to freeze onto. Ice fog usually forms in chilly parts of the world like the Arctic or Antarctic. Budapest was a plot twist. Hot, moist gases from vehicles and planes can also create ice fog. One plane takes off on a cold day and boom! There's so much ice fog that the next plane can't see a thing. That sometimes happens. It's not the same as diamond dust, which is when sparse ice crystals fall from a clear sky. It forms when the humidity is super high, nearly 100%, and the air temperature drops way below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. This creates ice crystals in the air, and they end up settling on different surfaces. Interestingly, early settlers thought these ice crystals could get into their lungs and cause some trouble. There are many other interesting ice formations, such as rabbit ice. It occurs when the air is chilly but the ground is yet to embrace the frosty vibes. The sap inside plant stems expands as it freezes, making the stems crack open. Once it happens, liquid slips out, meets the frosty air, and turns into thin layers of ice, creating beautiful petal or ribbon-like formations. Earthquake lights are another weird and unique phenomenon. When a powerful magnitude 8.1 earthquake hit Mexico in 2017, images of strange green and blue lights in the sky flooded social media. These so-called Mexico earthquake lights added another layer of mystery. Similar to ball lightning, earthquake lights are pretty rare. Fascinating, but tough for scientists to figure out. What makes it tricky is that the instances of luminosity around earthquakes don't all look the same. There are both theories and myths about this thing. The lights can appear in many different shapes, forms, and colors. Digging into history, researchers examined 65 accounts of these lights dating back to 1600 CE. For instance, on November 12, 1988, people reported a bright purple-pink globe of light along the St. Lawrence River in Quebec, just 11 days before a powerful quake. In Pisco, Peru, the lights took the form of bright flashes captured on security cameras before an 8.0 magnitude earthquake in 2007. And before a 2009 earthquake in L'Aquila, Italy, folks saw 4-inch flames of light flickering above a stone street. Yet, there are still debates about whether earthquake lights are real or not. The U.S. Geological Survey is a bit cautious, not sure whether individual reports of unusual lighting around the time and place of an earthquake truly represent earthquake lights. In one study, scientists theorized that these lights were caused by electric charges activated in specific types of rocks during seismic activity, like turning on a battery in Earth's crust. Some rocks, such as basalt and gabbro, have tiny crystal defects. They might release electrical charges into the air. Researchers estimated that the conditions needed for the creation of these lights existed in less than 0.5% of earthquakes worldwide. It could explain their rarity. They also noted that the lights tend to show up more often before or during quakes than afterward. An earlier study suggested that tectonic stress could create a piezoelectric effect where quartz-bearing rocks produce strong electric fields when compressed. Yet, studying earthquake lights is tough because they're unpredictable and short-lived. Time to talk about a sudden ring around the moon or sun. You're walking with a friend and suddenly see this sun halo. It's nature's warning. A snow or rainstorm is coming. These halos form when bazillions of tiny ice crystals in clouds refract sunlight. Resist the temptation to stare at this wonder directly. It can damage your eyes. Grab sunglasses and then admire it for about 40 minutes. Nature sends other early warnings too. If the sea mysteriously recedes, showing coral and fish, a tsunami might be on the way. Watch out for rip currents on the beach. Sharks might be fleeing a storm if they come unusually close. Feeling your hair stand on end and jewelry buzzing? Lightning might strike nearby. Seek shelter. Avalanches, green storms, and lakes near volcanoes are all potential dangers. Cross seas are extremely dangerous. Cave exploration during a full moon might cost you your life. If the ocean turns reddish-brown, avoid swimming. There might be toxic algae in the water. Animals sense disasters too. If they act strangely, pay attention. There's a fascinating blue glow around Matsu Islands on summer nights. It's caused by tiny glowing creatures. Tourists love watching this beautiful spectacle, but there's a downside. It's toxic and getting bigger each year, as revealed by a study. Despite its romantic appearance, this phenomenon is harmful. A team of oceanographers used satellite data to track its growth over 19 years. After analyzing almost 1,000 satellite images, they concluded that it was expanding into deeper waters. Unfortunately, this expansion poses a threat to marine life. The bloom of blue tears can poison fish and sea turtles and even affect human health. While dinoflagellates themselves aren't toxic, their food, toxic algae, releases harmful chemicals into the water. This process depletes oxygen, endangering marine animals. The main cause is unclear, but pollution from agriculture down the Yangtze River seems to play a crucial role. Agricultural runoff introduces nutrients that fuel the bloom. During the construction of the Three Gorges Dam project, the bloom's size reduced when the river's flow decreased. After the dam was finished and the river started flowing strongly again, the bloom resumed its growth. The team predicts that blue tears will keep expanding, posing an ongoing threat to marine life and creating more vividly glowing waters. A katabatic wind or drainage wind happens when dense cold air descends from a higher elevation down a slope due to gravity. These winds can be powerful, sometimes reaching hurricane speeds, but rarely. Unlike all downslope winds, katabatic winds like the Bora in the Adriatic or Santa Ana in California originate from cooling air on elevated surfaces like plateaus or mountains. As the air descends, it warms up. Its temperature depends on the source region. In Antarctica, katabatic winds are crucial in shaping wind fields. In regions such as Greenland and Antarctica, these winds can become extremely intense, reaching hurricane force. They contribute to unique phenomena, such as the McMurdo dry valleys in Antarctica, and are associated with such dangers as willowaws in the Fuegian Archipelago and Alaska. St. Elmo's Fire is a natural phenomenon worth mentioning. It happens during thunderstorms or volcanic eruptions when there's a strong electric field around the area. It creates a bluish or violet glow around such things as ship masts, airplane edges, or sharp objects. This glow is caused by ionized air molecules and is more noticeable in low light conditions. The glow is a form of plasma, and it happens when the electric field around an object causes the ionization of air molecules. This can occur during thunderstorms because there are high voltage differences between clouds and the ground. Sharp points make it easier for St. Elmo's Fire to occur because the electric field is more concentrated in those areas. The colors you see, blue or violet, come from the fluorescence of nitrogen and oxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Similar to how neon lights work, but with different gases. From ancient Greece to 15th century China, this phenomenon has been seen throughout history. When lightning flashes across the sky, it releases somewhere around 300 million volts, or the equivalent to power 25 million car batteries. Some say you're more likely to be zapped by lightning in your lifetime than to win the lottery. And statistics seem to prove this urban myth, as each year around 28 US locals do get electrically charged from the sky. The world's infrastructure can be affected by lightning too. That's because it generally seeks out the tallest structure around. But in certain conditions, it can also strike an open field. So scientists came together and invented a laser lightning rod that might help. This unique invention might make lightning strikes a bit more manageable, since it can guard a much larger area than the traditional one, and it's flexible. Classic lightning rods work like magnets for that powerful electrical charge. There are these tall metal devices placed on top of buildings. When a storm approaches, the rod provides an easy path for lightning to follow, preventing it from hitting other parts of the structure. The rod is also connected to the ground with a conductor, like a wire, helping the electrical charge to safely make its way into the earth. This process protects the building and the humans in it by directing the electrical energy away. We've been using lightning rods for the last 300 years, courtesy of Benjamin Franklin. But they're not damage-proof. When it comes to safeguarding vast spaces like airports, they can't manage. That's because they can only cover an area proportional to their height. Here's where this new, improved lightning rod can help. When the laser zaps the sky, it leaves behind a trail of superheated air called plasma. The same way a sculptor carves out traces in clay, the laser creates channels in the air. These channels then become the lightning's new favorite route, guiding it down to the ground. This new method was tested in the Swiss Alps back in 2021, and the results were promising. These lasers do have their own disadvantages. They aren't always available and need a heads up. That's because they have to be activated before a bolt hits. If you're a second too late, tough luck. Also, once the laser stops, the air loses its conductivity pretty quickly. This means the laser rod might not have enough power to guide the lightning safely. A potential solution might be monitoring the electric field around a certain area, predicting where lightning might strike. Yet, these new rods still need more testing and lots of funds. The European Space Agency found another way to make lasers useful: to turn moon dust into roads. It would make our future lunar exploration missions much easier if a laser beam could do the hard jobs, allowing astronauts to drive around the moon. This discovery might also help with another tricky issue: moon dust clinging to everything in sight. Roads on the moon might seem too much of a hustle for now, since we haven't been to our satellite since 1972. But when future space explorers will touch down again, they don't just plan to walk small distances. It'll be nice to have them driving around so they can explore larger areas. Problem is, that pesky moon dust is very fine, abrasive, and sticky. Back during the Apollo missions, it clogged up equipment, eroded spacesuits, and even caused a lunar rover to overheat. That's why scientists want to zap simulated moon dirt with a laser. This laser-powered project used a 12-kilowatt laser to melt simulated moon dirt into a solid, glassy surface, perfect for moon roads. The plan isn't to send a huge laser on the moon. This device they're testing here on Earth is like a stand-in for the sun, mimicking what lunar sunlight could do. The idea is to eventually concentrate sunlight using a big lens on the moon's surface. Some experiments have been done so far with different laser sizes, finding that a bigger beam made the whole process go smoother. Instead of dealing with tiny molten balls, they got a stable layer of molten moon dirt that's easier to work with. What they got was a glassy, somewhat brittle material that can handle downward forces. And even if it cracks, it's fixable. The laser beam was used to make triangle-shaped road parts that fit together like puzzle pieces, forming solid surfaces across lunar soil. If this goes as planned, we'll have moon roads made of interlocked triangles. This unique type of moon pavement could be the solution for landing pads too. Lasers can help piece together information on long-lost civilizations too. Discovering Maya cities has always been difficult for researchers exploring Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. For years, experts believed no early civilization could have thrived in that harsh environment. But advancements like light mapping technology and laser scans are showing us this might not be true. LiDAR technology can lend a helping hand for archaeologists, especially in areas that are hard to physically reach. That's because it's like we're equipping computers with a pair of eyes. The whole thing works as a flashlight, sending out small light beams in the form of a pulsated laser. These beams bounce off objects like trees and buildings and come back to the flashlight. LiDAR measures how long it takes for the light to return, creating a map of the surroundings. When a self-driving car or robot wants to know where it is, it uses LiDAR to send out these light beams. By figuring out how long they take to come back and where they hit, the car or robot can understand what's around it, making it safer for them to move around through the fog or at nighttime without bumping into things. With this technology, a team uncovered the massive Maya city of Acomtun. LiDAR technology helped researchers to map the jungle floor, revealing hidden structures. Yet someone still needed to verify these findings on foot. The journey to Acomtun wasn't extremely challenging. The region, quite far from the nearest airport, is mostly unexplored, accessible only through old hunting and logging routes. The dense terrain made the trek challenging, taking the team up to 2 weeks to cover just 30 miles. But the effort paid off, revealing monumental structures like a large acropolis and intriguing shapes hinting at a marketplace or cultural center. LiDAR is also used in rovers we'll need to explore other planets. This will allow the robots we send up there to navigate their surroundings without direct human indications. It's also helped us better understand the best location to place solar panels, making it cheaper and faster for us to meet our energy needs. We might also be able to use lasers to predict how a volcano is gonna act. These structures are loaded with magma, the molten rock sneaking upwards from the Earth's insides. When a volcano blows its top, a chemical reaction happens, transforming magma into what we call lava. The specialists behind this new use of lasers think of magma as the computer code of volcanoes. It reveals information on how a volcano might pop up. That's because not all eruptions bring lava, and even if they do, there are different lava types, depending on how runny it is. Magma is like a mix of liquid, gas, and crystals that are shaken up inside the volcano. There are many elements at play before a volcanic eruption, so it's hard to study and understand that complex chemistry. To organize things around a bit, scientists hit the cooled magma, the rock matrix, with a laser, just like the ones you might have encountered if you've ever had eye surgery. It makes the chemical components easier to study. This latest laser eye method was used on samples from a 2021 eruption, which lasted 85 days. It covered over 4 square miles, spewing loads of lava that wrecked over 1,000 homes and displaced over 7,000 people. To prevent such events from happening again, scientists need more data. It's true, earthquakes and ground shifts help specialists predict what a volcano might do, but knowing a bit more about its chemistry can help a bit more. In January 2022, a volcano eruption happened in the Tonga Islands that forever changed the way we understand GPS signals. This volcano caused a massive disturbance, sending out a colossal mix of gas and debris in the air. It generated a shockwave that traveled across the entire atmosphere, reaching all the way to Alaska, and launched a tsunami over nearby islands. Over northern Australia, it crafted a weird plasma bubble in the upper atmosphere, which disrupted GPS systems for hours. People that happened to be under this bubble and in need of precise GPS waited for ages before their device could receive precious information again. The exact place where these disturbances occurred is called the ionosphere. It's the place where our atmosphere meets outer space and looks like this buzzing layer where heat from the sun turns gases into electrically charged particles. It can also be seriously unpredictable, changing depending on the weather and thinning out when the sun's rays are less powerful. Because it's electrically charged, the ionosphere helps us with our communication needs. It houses many satellites, including the International Space Station. Here's how changes in the ionosphere can interact with GPS signals. Let's say you're playing detective with your friends and need to find them using a special radar. This radar sends out invisible waves through the ionosphere to locate your buddies. If everything is normal, you'll find their precise location in no time. Should those waves go through a place where the ionosphere particles are a bit messed up, the waves might slow down, get scattered, or change direction, confusing your radar. In the same way, when GPS signals travel through a damaged ionosphere, they can malfunction. Scientists have developed a way to fix this, like special sensors to anticipate changes in the atmosphere. The ionosphere is also sensitive to rockets being launched from Earth, not just storms and volcanoes. At first, astronomers believed these red patches they were noticing in the sky were similar to the northern lights found in Sweden, Finland, or Canada. But they soon figured out there were gaps in the ionosphere. Beautiful to look at, yes, but experts are worried that these crimson areas might be causing communication and astronomy problems that we've yet to discover. Since scientists don't know all the effects of these holes on our environment, it's best to steer clear if you see a red hole in the sky, just to be safe. but at least they seal up within 10 to 20 minutes. Mars has its own eerie set of lights happening in the atmosphere, and you'd think, since it's the red planet, these lights would also be red. Should you ever land on its surface, surprise! At times, the sky turns to a green glow. This unexpected hue could be very important for future Mars trips, since it can help specialists better understand the Martian atmosphere. Or what's left of it. That's because at some point in its history, Mars switched from being a warm and wet world to the cold, dry plains we know today. How is Mars slowly losing even what's left of its atmosphere? One popular theory is that Mars's weak gravity, combined with the fact that it doesn't have a strong magnetic field, lets the atmosphere escape into space. This vulnerability comes from the solar wind, a constant flow of particles from the sun. The sun's push over millions of years may have thinned out the atmosphere, grabbing the lighter parts. Some scientists suggest another possibility. A colossal impact by another object might have swiped Mars's atmosphere away. Studying this greenish glow is key to understanding what's going on the Martian atmosphere, a place satellites can't directly explore. Since we plan to visit this neighboring planet in the following decades, scientists intend to develop the perfect spacecraft. Knowing its atmospheric density helps us build machines tough enough to handle Martian drag, and we can design parachutes that gracefully descend to the Martian surface. See these amazing purples and greens lighting up the sky? That's not your typical aurora. It's Steve. First discovered by regular people, not scientists, some years back. We now know it's the aurora's more elusive cousin. Steve is short for Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement and was caught on camera back in 2018 by a bunch of amateur aurora chasers in Canada. They then brought it to the attention of NASA scientists. Here's how this is different from the aurora, starting with the appearance. Steve is more of a magenta streak, while the aurora is usually made out of green ribbons. Auroras happen when particles from the sun interact with the Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere, causing gases to emit light. Steve is thought to be a separate optical phenomenon that sometimes appears alongside auroras. While the exact mechanism behind it is still being studied, scientists believe it is linked with charged particles in the ionosphere that also interact with the Earth's magnetic field. Now that we know where to look, Steve might not be as rare. If you're planning to catch a glimpse of it, you'll need to travel to places where auroras usually happen, like Canada, Alaska, Northern Europe, New Zealand, and Australia. That's because it's never visible on its own. It's powered up when the aurora is extra bright during geomagnetic storms. Auroras can also happen on the sun too. These luxurious lights happen somewhere around 25,000 miles above a sunspot, a dark magnetic patch on the sun's surface. Astronomers have only recently discovered our own sun is capable of generating these lights. So far, they've only spotted aurora-like signals from faraway stars. Here on Earth, the aurora can last anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, maybe even a couple of hours if you're lucky. On the surface of the sun, though, this phenomenon is a week-long display of intricate lights. Strange lights in the sky can also happen before an earthquake hits. Mexico had its share in 2017, lighting up the internet with pictures of weird celestial shades before a massive magnitude 8.1 earthquake. Some voices in the scientific community wonder if this light phenomenon is indeed connected to earthquakes at all. Others have this theory that such lights are caused by the release of ionized oxygen from the breaking of certain rocks. A photographer from Finland captured these shots of a circular rainbow display in the sky and wondered what might be causing it. It's something pretty ordinary: pollen. These colorful rings are called pollen coronas, and they happen when sunlight hits the pollen in the air at a certain angle. You can easily tell if you're looking at pollen coronas if they're accompanied by star-like sparkles. Those are individual pollen grains, and they come in many sizes. The process is very simple. Sunlight hits the pollen and scatters into different colors. Some colors get blocked or crash into each other, creating a pattern known as diffraction. The pollen in these images is from pine trees, and under a microscope, they look like tiny Mickey Mouses. Those ears are actually air pockets that help them float in the wind. The air sacs all line up in the same direction, creating the elliptical shape of the rings. For these coronas to show up, pollen levels need to be very high. An astronaut up on the International Space Station once snapped this picture of our planet, showing these two weird blue patches of light in our atmosphere. They might seem related to each other, but these lights are two different natural phenomena that just happen to be captured at the same time. The first one down at the bottom is a massive lightning strike that zapped somewhere in the Gulf of Thailand. Lightning is usually pretty hard to spot from way up there because of clouds, but this time it struck between them, firing up the walls around it like a luminous ring. The second blue blob up in the top right happened because of the moon. The way our natural satellite lines up with the space station lets the sunlight it reflects shoot straight through Earth's atmosphere. This turns it into a bright light with a fuzzy halo. It happens because some of the moonlight bounces off tiny particles in our atmosphere, making the moon look blue in this picture. That orange halo curving along Earth's edge is just the atmosphere.
Hollywood studios and game developers hire professional artists to create fantastic monsters and creatures from other planets. The things they paint on computers are stunning and frightening, but all these works pale compared to the art of the most powerful artist in the world. And this artist is nature. We're not talking about the beauty of animals and fish, but about animals whose existence is hard to believe. It seems they are literally guests from another planet here. One of these guests is the Brazilian treehopper. What you see now is a real creature living in the forests of Brazil. This insect belongs to the family of cicadas, some of the most mysterious creatures on Earth. But this species stands out strongly even among them. The size of a pea, the Brazilian treehopper has grown futuristic creepy balls on its back, similar to helicopter blades. Is that an antenna, or something for fighting with enemies? Scientists still don't know. There are only hypothetical versions. According to one of them, the insect uses this thing to demonstrate its genetic strength in front of females. Peacocks use their beautiful tails similarly. In addition to scaring off predators, they show off their plumage and propose their candidacy for starting a family. This theory was quickly refuted because not only males, but also females of the Brazilian treehopper have this thing. Maybe these balls are like a false target. Some predator sees them and attacks them, and at that moment, the insect unhooks this thing and runs away. However, researchers have never seen such actions while observing the treehopper. Another theory says that this thing helps the cicada pretend to be a cordyceps fungus. Remember the parasites that invade an ant's body, turn it into a zombie, and then a huge mushroom sprouts from out of their bodies? Some believe the Brazilian treehopper imitates this fungus so that enemies are afraid to attack it. Yes, animals in the forest also know what can be touched and what is better off not to mess with. Or this hat may send signals to outer space or another planet, reporting information about Earth. Another fantastic feature of the Brazilian treehopper is its way of communicating. These insects talk to each other through vibrations. When one treehopper sits on a tree and feeds on juicy leaves, it can send vibrating signals along the trunk and, thus, invite its friends to have a snack. Or it uses this ability to warn about predators. In general, cicadas are pretty strange creatures. Those species that look like ordinary insects are still a mystery to all scientists. When cicadas hatch from eggs, they hide underground, feeding on liquid from the roots of trees and plants while growing. They build underground tunnels and hang out there for 13 or 17 years. And then, after molting, they come out all at the same time, several hundred or even thousands of insects at once. They fly into the air in a huge swarm, chirping loudly and terrifying all the animals around. People living nearby claim that the clicks of cicadas prevent them from sleeping. But why do cicadas come out only once every 13 to 17 years? What are they doing underground all this time? Scientists have no idea. Their sudden appearance may be associated with predatory animals. Cicadas are defenseless and nutritious creatures. Foxes and owls like to eat them. If cicadas got out of the ground once a year, predators would get used to it and soon destroy these creatures. Therefore, cicadas wait for a long enough time so that their enemies don't know when they will appear. In addition, insects choose the moment to show up when the populations of their enemies are at their lowest. Okay, after meeting this creature, you probably won't look at strawberries like before. So imagine a strawberry of white color from which 20 long tentacles spread out. It's as if a Lovecraft monster has opened a portal to our dimension inside a strawberry and is now trying to break out. The good news is that you are unlikely to see this monster near humans. The Antarctic strawberry feather lives in the icy depths of the Antarctic Ocean. These creatures are one of 4 types of crinoids, geometrically symmetrical animals that attach themselves to the seabed like a plant stem. Then, when they reach adulthood, they unhook themselves and set sail on the ocean. They use their tentacles to make beautiful rhythmic movements while swimming. And they also hunt plankton using their hands. Each tentacle of the strawberry is covered with thousands of tiny slimy threads that capture prey like a spider web. In addition to white species, scientists have observed purple and even dark red creatures. Looking at them, you start to suspect that many artists have stolen the image of crinoids to create monsters in their sci-fi movies and video games. Now, what do you think is the longest animal on the planet? This is not a giraffe or even some giant anaconda from the Amazon jungle. See this glowing long whip floating in the ocean? This is it. This creature is called a siphonophore. Its length can reach up to 130 feet, more than the size of a blue whale, the largest mammal on the planet. But if you look closer, you'll see it's not some sea snake. It resembles a long jellyfish with a transparent body and a light bulb head. Along its entire length, creepy threads stretch from the siphonophore. It looks like a mutant centipede from the depths of the sea. In any case, don't approach it. Its hairs are venomous. It uses them to fight off enemies and to capture prey. Disgusting, and at the same time charming, like me, the hagfish uses thick, sticky slime to defend itself from predators. This slug is actually a species of jawless fish. You may have seen this creature in social networks when people put it on their hands. When it senses danger, it spits out mucus resembling tree roots or a nervous system. The goo gets into the eyes and gills of enemies and stops them while the hagfish swims away. These animals are also among the most ancient creatures on the planet. They appeared about 500 million years ago and have been leading a scavenger lifestyle ever since. Even if you look at this tree for a few minutes, you may not understand what is wrong with it. But one of the branches is a live great potu bird that has mastered the skill of disguise better than anyone. Not only does its plumage allow it to merge with the environment, but it's also very patient and enduring. The great potu can stand motionless for hours, waiting for its prey. It even closes its eyes to be more inconspicuous. But that doesn't mean it doesn't see you. The bird has tiny holes under the eyelids that allow it to closely monitor the situation around it. Scientists spend millions of dollars to create expensive equipment to study seismological activity. But this mole that lives in swamps can detect seismic vibrations thanks to its strange nose. The star-nosed mole has more than 20,000 sensory receptors on its star that can also catch electrical signals emitted by its prey. It's one of those rare animals that can smell underwater. It releases tiny bubbles from its nose, then pulls them back in to understand the smell. And it's also a fast eater that spends less than a quarter of a second to swallow food. Piranhas look creepy with their jaws and razor-sharp teeth. But how about a fish that has rectangular human-like teeth? Meet the pacu fish. and it seems it has a false jaw. These creepy creatures eat plants and meat, but their favorite dish is fruits and nuts. Evolution has created such a shape of teeth so that Pacu can grind fruits that fall from the trees growing along the Amazon streams. Many people confuse these creatures with piranhas and try to stay away from them. And this is the right decision, because these rectangular teeth can cause severe damage to non-food items, like you and me, too.
Look at this pretty creature. It looks cute and totally harmless. But you should know that appearances are deceptive, and the blue-ringed octopus is an extremely venomous species of octopus. In fact, they are one of the world's most venomous marine animals. These creatures are found in tide pools and coral reefs. Despite their small size, a mere 5 to 8 inches, they're very dangerous to humans if provoked. Their venom contains a powerful neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin. When the animal feels threatened, its first instinct is to flee. But if the threat persists, for example, if you don't give up the idea of picking the octopus up, it will go into a defensive stance and display its blue rings. If the octopus is cornered and touched, it may bite its attacker, and it can end very, very badly. Tetrodotoxin causes severe consequences, and sometimes results in total body paralysis, when the victim is fully aware of the surroundings but unable to move. The victim remains conscious and alert, but because of the paralysis, there's no way of signaling for help or indicating distress. Interestingly, in its chilling mode, the blue-ringed octopus looks brown or even pale, but once it feels endangered, it switches on its psychedelic pattern. Such a response is called aposematic behavior. In simple words, it's when an animal flashes bright colors warning others that, should they take a bite, they won't live to tell the tale. Of course, the blue-ringed octopus isn't the only dangerous animal that looks harmless out there. For example, look at this creature. This animal looks super cute, fluffy and soft-looking. The desire to touch it is irresistible. Watch out. The sting of the hairy caterpillar can pack a serious punch. It's called the puss moth caterpillar, or asp. Hidden among that luxurious fur, there are venom spines equipped with stinging cells like jellyfish. People react very differently to caterpillar toxins. Some may develop more severe reactions than others. Plus, how bad the consequences are also depends on the thickness of the skin in the affected area. In most cases, the unpleasant sensations and rash go away in a few hours or sometimes days. The next animal on our list is the poison dart frog. There are more than 170 species of these frogs, and funnily enough, not all of them are actually poisonous. Those which are secret, extremely dangerous toxins through their skin. On the bright side, the frogs never use these toxins for hunting or attacking. They only have them for self-defense. Experts aren't sure, but they suppose that the frog's ability to produce these toxins might come from a diet rich in toxin-containing animals, for example, centipedes or ants. Indigenous peoples in Central and South America have been known to rub their arrows and darts on the frogs in order to give them a poison tip. The main thing you need to keep in mind: if you touch a poison dart frog, seek assistance immediately. Especially if you've come across the golden poison dart frog, it's the most toxic one. The flamboyant cuttlefish is the only known venomous cuttlefish species. This creature has incredibly poisonous muscle tissue, despite its tiny, 2 to 3 inches at most, frame. Watch out for a dark brown underwater animal with 2 tentacles and 8 arms. It's also likely to have purple and yellow around its arms. Anyway, your best bet is to avoid biting into one of these intriguing creatures, and you'll most likely be safe. Predatory cone snails are very slow animals. This is the main reason why they have no means to capture their prey mechanically. I mean, they can't really grasp another animal or bite it. Instead, the cone snail has evolved potent venom that helps it survive. Probably the coolest thing about these creatures is that among almost 1,000 species, there's no overlap in the toxins produced by each of them. Even though cone snails don't have fangs, they have a venom-covered harpoon they use to sting their prey. There's a tube-like structure at the end of a venom bulb, and a modified tooth can shoot out of the tube at a mind-boggling speed of 400 miles per hour. So being slowpokes doesn't actually bother cone snails. And since the venom is unique to certain species, some of them can deliver a minor sting, while others might cause serious harm to your health. For example, this reef-dwelling little fella unleashes a harpoon-like tooth to sting its prey, and there is no known cure for its venom. When you think of pufferfish, You probably imagine a bloated-looking creature with impressive 360-degree quills. But beneath those funny spikes, there is a vicious creature. And the most dangerous part of this creature is its poison, which is considered to be one of, if not the, most dangerous and potent in the world. The good news is that you won't get poisoned unless you eat the fish. So maybe better stick to the California roll. Now look at this insect and try to never approach it. It's the Japanese giant hornet. This monstrously sized creature, which can grow to be almost 2 inches long, is known to be highly aggressive. Its impressive stinger packs enough venom to make the sting very, and I mean it, painful. Some people don't survive being stung by this insect. Even though the venom isn't the most potent, the large size of the creature makes the dose too big. And if it's not one but several hornets attacking you, well, the consequences are likely to be dramatic. The giant hornet isn't necessarily unfriendly toward people or other animals, but it will sting if you provoke it. This truly beautiful bright blue creature is called the blue sea dragon. Despite such an imposing name, the critter is actually tiny, usually no bigger than a grape. You may find it on the beach or floating beside you in the water. Now, you need to remember one thing. However pretty this little slug may look, never ever touch it. Despite their tiny size, their sting can pack a punch, all because of their diet. Their favorite dish is the Portuguese man-o'-war, a jellyfish that has enough venom to paralyze small fish and crustaceans. The blue dragons first use mucus to neutralize the jellyfish's infamous stinging cells, and then they steal these cells from the man-o'-war's tentacles and store and concentrate them within their own tissues. Then they release these stinging cells on contact, which makes their own sting even more powerful, even worse than that of the man-o'-war's itself. These awesome creatures are also extremely sneaky. Even though their appearance is bright, to say the least, they're well-known masters of disguise. You see, that vibrant blue coloring is actually on their bellies, and when they float on their backs, they simply blend with the water. As for their backs, they're gray to camouflage these animals on the sea surface. The Irukandji jellyfish, found in Australia, looks tiny and totally innocent, but appearances are deceitful, and this baby, the size of a human thumbnail, is actually extremely dangerous. During stinger season, which lasts from November to May, tons of beaches get closed because of these itsy-bitsy creatures. What makes the jellyfish particularly dangerous is their miniature size. People simply fail to notice them while swimming. The infamous box jellyfish, named for its cubic body shape, lives in the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Stay away if you spot a creature with a squarish bell and long, dangling tentacles. And even if you only see a single tentacle without the jellyfish attached to it, don't come close or touch it. The box jellyfish can grow up to 10 feet, and each of its tentacles has about 500,000 microscopic harpoons to inject venom. Unlike other jellyfish, box jellyfish are hunters. They can latch onto you by wrapping their slender tentacles around your limb or body. With how dangerous their venom is, it won't be a pleasant experience.
Texas is home to some of the oddest, creepiest, and most unusual animals you've ever heard of. It might come as a surprise, but this state is full of creatures you'll hardly see in other places. So, let's have a look at the most amazing ones. This truly beautiful bright blue creature is called the blue sea dragon. Despite such an imposing name, the critter is actually tiny, usually no bigger than a grape. You may find it on the beach or floating beside you in the water. Now, you need to remember one thing. However pretty this little slug may look, never ever touch it. One tourist spotted a few of these pretty dragons on the shore of Mustang Island. He scooped one of the creatures up. He wanted to film it. Luckily, he put it back into the water before it could sting him. Otherwise, it would have ended badly since the blue sea dragon is venomous. Despite their tiny size, their sting can pack a punch, all because of their diet. Their favorite dish is the Portuguese man-o'-war, a jellyfish that has enough venom to paralyze small fish and crustaceans. The blue dragons first use mucus to neutralize the jellyfish's infamous stinging cells. And then they steal these cells from the man-o'-war's tentacles and store and concentrate them within their own tissues. Then they release these stinging cells on contact, which makes their own sting more powerful, even worse than that of the man-o'-war itself. These awesome creatures are also extremely sneaky. Even though their appearance is bright, to say the least, they're well-known masters of disguise. You see that vibrant blue coloring is actually on their bellies, and when they float on their backs, they simply blend with the water. As for their backs, they're gray to camouflage these animals on the seafloor. Now, how about a funny fact? A group of tiny dragons floating together is called a blue fleet. And another fact, blue dragons normally lay a string of around 16 eggs, and it takes them 3 days or so to hatch into larvae. Blue sea dragons rarely make it to the shore. They're soft-bodied, so when the animals finally get through the surf zone and are deposited on the shore, they're already broken apart. And still, watch out! Even in this case, the venom in their bodies doesn't dissipate. But of course, blue sea dragons aren't the only unusual animals inhabiting Texas. Have a look at this nightmarish creature, poisonous, slimy, and kinda immortal. Meet the hammerhead worm. The worst thing? It might be lurking in your garden while you're watching this video. You can easily recognize this worm by its creepy spade-shaped head. It doesn't look like any other invertebrate you've ever seen. Or any other creature, that is. At first, it was only found in East Texas. But later, researchers spotted these spine-chilling creatures in North, Central, and South Texas. Basically everywhere but the arid areas of West Texas. One of the most terrifying things about this worm might be its length. This creature can grow as long as 1 foot. Luckily, such giants aren't very common. Most hammerhead worms only reach 6 inches in length. You can come across 2 species of these worms in Texas, and both of them will have a dark stripe down the middle. The larger of these 2 species munches on earthworms, which is actually a big problem. You might know that earthworms play an important role in keeping the soil rich in minerals and overall healthy. If earthworms disappear, plants in such areas won't be getting the nutrients they need. Even for humans and pets, meeting a hammerhead worm isn't the most pleasant experience either. Hammerheads are the only terrestrial invertebrates that secrete a very dangerous neurotoxin, the same as pufferfish produce. Thanks to the sheer size of the human body, touching a hammerhead worm won't hurt you too much, but it may still cause your hand to start tingling or even go numb. It's much more dangerous for pets. There have been cases when dogs ate hammerheads, which left them feeling sick for the whole day. Interestingly, these worms are native to Southeast Asia. But they must have mastered the art of hitchhiking, since in the early 1900s they were already found in the US. Keep in mind that if you want to get rid of a hammerhead worm, which is the best course of action, the worst thing you can do is chop it with a shovel. The thing is, flatworms reproduce by ripping themselves in half, so by cutting it, you actually help the populations of the worms, turning 1 into 2. That's the reason why hammerheads are sometimes described as immortal, which is a bit of a stretch since these creatures can't survive in vinegar or salt. Now, even though you're safe from the hammerhead worm in West Texas, it doesn't mean you can't come across another dangerous animal, such as the land lobster from hell. These creatures are also known as vinegaroons, and they're not real crustaceans, they're arachnids. Huh? Who would have guessed? Anyway, these 8-legged critters have a really nasty bite, but it's not the worst thing about them. Land lobsters? Brace yourself. Spray vinegar-like 85% acid from their tails. Mostly they do it to protect themselves, but it still sounds like an unfriendly thing to do, right? A land lobster can also pinch a finger that's gotten too close with its heavy mouth parts. At the base of their abdomens, vinegaroons have long whip-like tails. That's why these arachnids are often called whip scorpions, even though they're neither related to scorpions nor have stingers. Summer rains lure these arachnids out of their burrows in search of food and love. Luckily, experts claim that land lobsters aren't poisonous to humans, but they're very likely to leave a mark with their large pinchers, which they use to capture insects. Vinegaroons can be considered useful since they eat millipedes, crickets, scorpions, and cockroaches. They hunt by sensing the vibrations of their prey with those long front legs of theirs. Since land lobsters prefer to come out after dark, you aren't likely to see one in the daylight. But if you stumble upon one, check it out. If it's a female, it may be carrying her hatchlings on her back. Now, imagine it's the middle of spring and you're walking among blooming flowers and greenery. Suddenly, you spot something extremely bizarre on the ground. The animal looks cute, fluffy, and soft-looking. The desire to touch it is irresistible. Watch out! The sting of the hairy caterpillar can pack a serious punch. This one is called the puss moth caterpillar, or asp. There are several stinging caterpillar species in Texas: the buck moth caterpillar, spiny oak slug caterpillar, saddleback caterpillar, and eo moth caterpillar. And touching any of them can lead to unpleasant consequences. If you had touched that pretty hairy thing in the park, you'd most likely start feeling a burning sensation and develop an itchy rash. In the worst case scenario, you'd even have to go to the emergency room. The main problem is that people react very differently to caterpillar toxins. Some may develop more severe reactions than others. Plus, how bad the consequences are also depends on the thickness of the skin in the affected area. In most cases, the unpleasant sensation and rash go away in a few hours or sometimes days. On the bright side, such caterpillars later turn into moths and butterflies that help pollinate flowers and trees. Getting rid of these critters means doing a massive disservice to the area where you live. Specialists are sure that coming across a stinging caterpillar won't lead to anything bad if you keep in mind the rule of thumb. If a caterpillar looks fuzzy, don't touch it. And the best solution to dealing with such creatures is educating people on what such caterpillars are, what they look like, and why it's dangerous to touch them with unprotected hands.
In the heart of a dense forest, a person embarks on a forest hike, delving into the hidden depths of nature's playground. But this isn't your ordinary stroll through the trees. It takes a turn towards an eerie and spine-chilling discovery. Our protagonist, with a twinkle of curiosity in his eyes, discovers a burrow hiding in the shadows. Curiosity outweighs fear, and our explorer comes up closer. It's not some random burrow. This one belongs to a fox. So what if it's the wrong move, and they should just run away? In the joyful season of spring, when nature comes alive with vibrant energy, foxes engage in their intricate dance of life. It's during this time that foxes seek solace in their underground sanctuaries. Throughout the rest of the year, when the world around them flourishes, foxes prefer to bask in the sun, finding comfort above ground, except when the weather takes a turn for the worse. It's in the most inclement conditions that they seek refuge in their burrows, shielding themselves from the elements. These burrows, known as fox earths, typically consist of only a few entrances, occasionally covered with scattered soil and debris. During winter months, industrious foxes diligently dig additional burrows in anticipation of the forthcoming spring. Sometimes, among the remnants of their subterranean journeys, lie the remains of fallen foxes, a testament to the cycle of life within these intricate underground networks. If one were to explore the vicinity of a fox earth, one would notice fresh traces of food remaining outside the burrows during the months of April to June. It's during this period, when playful fox cubs grace the earth with their presence, that remnants of their feasts can be found, a delightful sign of life unfolding. So, what do these earths look like? After all, there are other animals with dens in the forest, too. Now, let's get to the heart of the matter. Fox dens, the elusive abodes of these mischievous beings, tend to be located in areas abundant in lush greenery. You might find these creatures hiding beneath the sheltering branches of a tree, or seeking refuge beneath imposing rocks. If you stumble upon a cozy little hole that appears tailor-made for a fox, and you catch a whiff of that unmistakable aroma, accompanied by other intriguing clues like scattered bones, you've likely discovered a fox den. Alas, my curious friend, there's no foolproof recipe for where these sly foxes choose to build their dens. They possess an uncanny ability to adapt to diverse environments, be it open grasslands, dense forests, or even the unforgiving tundra. Picture this. A fox's den consists of a minimum of 4 to 5 sections. We have the grand entrance, the ever-important ramp, the main den itself, and a secret room that doubles as a food stash. Depending on the size of the pack, there might be additional rooms to accommodate the whole gang of foxes. Now imagine the grand opening to a fox's den. The entrance and the ramp form a corridor leading about 3 to 8 feet deep into the earth, connecting the outer world with the cozy haven within. But there's more. Foxes, being savvy planners, stockpile their foraged treasures in their dens. Yes, they have their own food caches, where they hide all their scrumptious finds. The number of rooms within the den may vary, adapting to the size of the pack, as these crafty creatures ensure there's enough space for giving birth and raising their adorable offspring. They might even dig extra tunnels and create additional entrances just to keep things interesting. Now let's talk about culinary affairs. Foxes are savvy gourmands who store food in large quantities, ready to weather the winter and the mating season. However, they're not extravagant hoarders. They usually stash away just enough to last them a few days, considering they don't dine on fresh prey every single day. Berries and fruits often grace their storage chambers, while any delectable meat takes center stage in their culinary adventures. Curious about the proximity of fox dens to one another? Well, if the land is bountiful with abundant food and fresh water, you might stumble upon 2 or 3 fox dens within a 10-square-mile radius. But if resources are scarce, you might have to expand your search to cover a sprawling 20 square miles to find just one den. But the saga doesn't end there. Foxes, true to their resourceful nature, often have multiple dens. They maintain the primary den, often known as the natal den, which holds sentimental value. Additionally, they keep a backup den for some unpredictable circumstances. And let's not forget their knack for claiming abandoned or borrowed dens as their own. Such clever tricksters, aren't they? Now, let's talk about these marvelous creatures themselves. Foxes come in a delightful array of species, sizes, and variations scattered all across our planet. But the star of the show is the red fox, found on every continent except frosty Antarctica. While most foxes prefer the tranquility of rural landscapes, don't be surprised if they venture into the realms of urban and suburban dwellings, where their path might cross with humans. The encounters between a fox and a human. A tale of 2 extremes. Some kind souls attempt to win over these animals, offering them tidbits and coaxing them into their palms. On the other hand, there are those who tremble at the mere thought of a fox, fearing their crafty and ferocious nature. Now picture this scenario. What if a fox approaches you or launches an attack? Typically, foxes pose no threat to humans and harbor no ill intentions. They prefer to feast upon small mammals or livestock, reserving their aggression for hunting or self-defense. Yet, there have been reported cases of foxes crossing paths with humans, including incidents. Therefore, knowing what steps to take if a fox approaches or pounces on you is crucial. Foxes can indeed be domesticated, yet they remain wild at heart, and their actions can be wildly unpredictable. They might momentarily embrace their tamed side, only to snap back into their untamed instincts when feeling cornered, threatened, hungry, or simply scared. Naturally, foxes view us humans as potential threats, and it's in our best interest to reciprocate their cautious approach. Never attempt to approach a fox, even if it appears docile and friendly, as its temperament can shift within seconds, catching you off guard. Avoid sudden movements and resist the urge to inch closer, as doing so might agitate or frighten our fox friend. In most cases, when a fox spots a human nearby, it will swiftly scamper away or seek refuge in hiding. However, should you find yourself locked in a standoff with a fox, the best course of action is to take a step back and allow it the space it craves. Should a fox persist in its approach, or if you encounter several foxes nearby, my dear friend, give them a wide berth and allow them their space. Refrain from approaching or attempting to feed them, especially by hand. Let them carry on with their foxy affairs while you observe them from a distance. In a situation where a fox becomes trapped, such as finding its way into a room, I implore you to remain calm. Avoid raising your voice or causing unnecessary commotion, as it may provoke the fox to attack. Instead, remain silent, keep a safe distance from the creature, and provide it with an escape route. Ensure the doors and windows remain unobstructed, granting the fox the freedom it seeks. In due time, it will make its swift exit. However, if fortune frowns upon you and you find yourself in the unfortunate circumstance of a fox attack, remember to stay composed. Refrain from unleashing your pets or pursuing the fox. Just allow it to retreat on its own accord. If the fox persists and refuses to back down, a simple round of applause or a few claps might startle it away. Now you can enjoy the forest.
Hey, do you believe in folklore telltale signs that can help predict the weather? Actually, many of them even have a scientific backup. So let's dive in. You've probably heard this one at least once. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. Oh, you haven't? Then you might have heard a variation with the word shepherd instead of sailor. This weather lore was even commemorated by William Shakespeare, I call him Bill, back in 1593. He wrote a poem, Venus and Adonis, and there is a description of the red sky lore. Turns out Bill was right, and this one can be explained. The red sky appears when dust and small particles are trapped in the atmosphere by high pressure. When sunlight passes through the Earth's atmosphere, it splits into different colors of the spectrum and creates colorful skies. If there's a high-pressure system, it can trap dust and vapor in the atmosphere, causing blue light to scatter and leaving only red. So it can indicate that the weather will be clear and calm the next day, whereas a red sky in the morning can indicate a storm is on the way. How about another one with sailors? Rainbow in the morning gives you fair warning. Rainbow at night is a sailor's delight. Now this suggests that if you see a rainbow in the morning, it means that rain is on the way. However, if you see a rainbow at night, it means that the weather will be calm and clear the following day. And the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is still a myth. Next one. They say no weather is ill if the wind be still. This one's pretty logical too. Calm weather conditions show us that the pressure is high in this area. Highs are regions of descending air, and they prevent bad weather phenomena, such as clouds and precipitation, from forming. But there's more to that. Actually, calm conditions may be a true sign that bad weather's on the way. We often call it the calm before the storm. Have you ever seen this halo around the sun or moon? Well, it's another telltale weather sign. Next time you spot such a halo, make sure to grab an umbrella before you leave the house. This phenomenon occurs because of refraction. The sun and moon provide light, although in different ways, and this light gets refracted by ice crystals at high altitudes. When you see a halo, it means that the moisture up there is going down. Also, these halos may evolve into another beautiful phenomenon, milk sky. The milk sky is still clear, but the typical blue shade is sort of washed away and appears a bit faded or milky. Today, we can just check the weather forecast on our iPhones. But centuries ago, people needed to have some alternatives to be able to predict the weather. The very first weather forecasts appeared around 650 BCE. Back then, the Babylonians would predict weather using cloud patterns. Ooh, that's a fluffy one. Uh-oh, there's a dark one. We should go inside. People had to wait for quite a lot of centuries for mass weather forecasting. The first prototype of what we have today appeared in 1835, and it was thanks to the invention of the electric telegraph. By the way, back in the olden days, animals contributed a lot to weather forecasting. Some traditions are preserved up to today. For instance, Groundhog Day. Long story short, if the groundhog gets out of its den on the 2nd of February in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and sees its shadow, it will go back into the den, and the winter will last for 6 more weeks. On the contrary, if the groundhog does not see its shadow and doesn't get scared, spring will arrive soon this year. There's no actual scientific backup to this tradition, but surprisingly, in most cases, the groundhog predictions come true. Well, in the US, people get predictions from groundhogs. In Croatia and Serbia, people use bears to see if spring's on the way. On the 15th of February, they watch a bear awaken from winter dormancy. It's all about the shadow again. If the bear gets confused when he sees his shadow, it will go back to its den and sleep for 40 more days, thus prolonging the winter. But if it's cloudy on this day, it's a true sign that spring is coming. As to the poor schmuck who has chosen to wake the bear up, I think I'd pass on that honor. Unlike groundhogs and bears, seagulls can help predict bad weather all year round. They say, "Seagull, seagull, sit on the sand. It's never good weather when you're on the land." These birdies tend to sleep on the water, so if they sense turbulent wind, they prefer not to struggle with it but avoid it. Therefore, they just land on the beach and wait. Smart! Rain before 7, clear by 11. Pretty common, but only partly true. The occurrence of late night and early morning rains may be due to the passing of a weather front. Still, it's not 100% correct to assume that morning rain is a sign that the afternoon will be dry. In some cases, a rainstorm that develops in the late afternoon may last up until the night, causing early morning rain. Now, cows could make good weather forecast reporters too. A cow with its tail to the west makes the weather best. A cow with its tail to the east makes the weather least. Thing is, they don't really enjoy it when the wind is blowing right in their faces, so they prefer to stand with their backs to the wind. Winds blowing from the west usually bring good weather, and those blowing from the east, on the contrary, are likely to provide unsettled weather. Voila! I told you, cows are cool. So, should you ever be in a pasture with cows, you will know what weather it will be in the next few hours, even if there's no coverage and you can't use your phone. Now, in case there are no cows, bears, or any other animals that are sensitive to the weather, you can use onions. Yep, you heard that right. Even onions can predict the weather, and these guys actually predict long-term conditions. Here's a nice rhyme. Onion skins very thin, mild weather coming in. Onion skins thick and tough, coming winter cold and rough. Well, seems there's no prediction connected to French fried onion rings though. If you want to hear a scientific explanation for this, sorry, there won't be any. In fact, scientists say such rhymes have stood the test of time for one reason only, and it's our human selective memory. We tend to remember things we've predicted correctly, and if not, we just forget them. Oaks and maples can be helpful, though, due to their ability to curl leaves when the humidity is very high and the wind's blowing strongly. So, when leaves turn their back, 'tis a sign it's going to rain, turns out to be quite a true saying. There's even a rhyme for it. When the leaves show their undersides, be very sure that rain betides. I know, betides, it's kind of a forced rhyme, but it is a word, it means happens. Okay, time to move on, let's not beat a dead horse. Which, by the way, is not a weather predictor. So hey, did you know that you can even use your friends to predict the weather? Our human body is way more multifunctional than you could have imagined. Here's another short rhyme to prove we humans have superpowers. For instance, our body can predict rain. I know ladies by the score whose hair foretells the storm. Long before it begins to pour, their curls take a drooping form. See? I bet you've noticed it many times and maybe even correlated that our hair may act weirdly when the humidity rises. It may expand in length due to humid air, and naturally curly hair may droop. Naturally straight hair, vice versa, may even curl up a bit. If you have blonde hair, you're even more potent at rain forecasting, as it's more sensitive to humidity. On to more precise predictions. Yeah, it's cool to predict the weather, but what about predicting temperature? You can tell the temperature by counting a cricket's chirps. These guys are quite accurate thermometers. When it's warm, they chirp faster. When it's cold, their chirps get slower. Now, here's what you need to do to get the temperature. Count their chirps for 14 seconds, and then add 40 to the resulting number of chirps. Now comes the disclaimer. Crickets only work in Fahrenheit. For Celsius, you'll need to do some extra calculations. While not all weather lures are accurate all the time, they can be a fun way to predict the weather and connect with nature. Meanwhile, my hair is turning frizzy, so I'll grab an umbrella. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.